When reality hits hard, denial is usually the first stop. Our boy here is coughing up his own organs, completely baffled. He is currently pinned to his own throne by some hero in a flashy red cape. His super special black flames did absolutely nothing to the squad of heroes standing before him. He is left wondering how this so-called sword god managed to bypass his impenetrable scales. Cue the tragic backstory. Back in his academy days, he was built different, graduating top of his class. He was a total tryhard for the Demon King standards, a textbook he followed religiously. Doing exactly what the manual said, he built a massive tower and had dragons snatch up princesses for his collection. His whole game plan was basically hero farming. To a Demon King, a hero's despair is a 5-star meal, but you cannot just squish them at level 1. You have to let them marinate and level up, because a strong hero is a tasty hero. He followed these rules to the letter, fully convinced that world domination was just a matter of time. Our boy here did everything by the book. He absorbed all the abundant sadness and anger of the heroes and countless civilians to become the ultimate big bad. He had the edgy throne and the glowing purple aura on lock. But despite following the villain playbook perfectly, he still ended up on his knees coughing up blood. He is completely baffled as to how he took the massive L. Enter the hero. This smug guy flashes a $1 million smile and asks why Demon Kings always look so shocked when they get packed up. He points out that they literally bring this on themselves by kidnapping the most famous princesses and leaving a trail of breadcrumbs for the good guys to follow. Grabbing our defeated boss by the hair, the hero roasts his strategy. He says a real menace would have just assassinated the king to plunge the kingdom into chaos. The Demon King tries to rationalize his choices internally. If he just killed the king, the humans would fight each other for the throne instead of directing their sweet, nutritious anger at him. That would totally stunt his growth as a Demon King. Plus, it goes completely against the sacred standards written in his trusty evil handbook. But the hero is just laughing in his face. He is actually super grateful because the Demon King basically built them a giant training facility. By filling the first floor of his ominous dark tower with weak trash mobs, he gave the heroes a perfect safe environment to grind XP and level up. Our boy realizes in absolute horror that while he thought he was carefully gathering energy according to the rules, he was actually just running a free tutorial zone for his own murderers. Our guy realizes he followed that stupid magic book's rules perfectly, only to get absolutely clapped. The hero delivers a brutal kick and a massive slash, leaving the Demon King completely stunned. The hero stands over his defeated body with a smug grin. To make matters worse, the entire hero party starts cheering and laughing at him. They literally thank him for being the best godfather ever and providing them with the ultimate leveling zone. Bleeding out on the floor, the Demon King is horrified to realize his grand tower was just a glorified playground for these guys. The hero just smiles and raises his giant sword to deliver the final execution. But our boy refuses to go out like a total scrub. Furious and humiliated, he grits his teeth and clenches his fist. He questions what the hell those stupid standards even were if they led to this absolute joke of an ending. Refusing to die in vain, he unleashes a massive surge of dark energy and roars that he is the true Demon King, ready to take them all down with him. Our boy the Demon King is currently eating floor tile. He is bleeding out while a bunch of smug heroes stand around him like they just beat a tutorial boss. He is down bad. He spits blood and swears that these arrogant punks are going to pay for treating his domain like a weekend hunting trip. But the lead hero is already calling dibs on his horns for a mantelpiece trophy. That is until our guy decides he is not going out like a chump and starts crackling with some serious purple energy. The hero just smirks and thinks it is a cute final struggle. Wrong move, buddy. The Demon King screams and unleashes a massive explosion that vaporizes the entire room into purple-flamed skeletons. As he disintegrates, he realizes the hard truth. The whole Demon King standard he followed to a T was complete garbage, and it is the exact reason these heroes treated him like a joke. As his body vaporizes into a massive purple nuke over the castle, our boy realizes that playing by the rules was the biggest mistake of his life. If he gets a do-over, he is absolutely screwing the standards. Suddenly, his eyes snap open. Instead of being a pile of ash, he is standing right in the middle of a grand hall looking completely lost. His classmates stare at him like he just grew a second head while he checks his pulse and realizes he is somehow still breathing. A tiny announcer guy on stage snaps him out of it, calling out the name Bure Deus. Our guy stumbles forward in absolute shock, recognizing the room and realizing this is way too real to be a hallucination. A vampire-looking director steps up, asking why his top student is acting so clueless on graduation day. He flashes a shiny red badge, the ultimate symbol of a certified Demon King. Berger looks out at the Gothic Academy and puts the pieces together. He just got sent exactly 15 years into the past. He lines up with the rest of the fresh meat, realizing the universe just handed him the ultimate cheat code. But before he can plot his revenge, the announcer enthusiastically points right at him, hyping him up to read the official Demon King pledge. Our boy stares up at the glowing ruleboard. He knows these Demon King standards by heart because he followed them perfectly in his past life. And what did that get him? A one-way ticket to the afterlife courtesy of some smug hero who treated him like a loot piñata. Now he is expected to stand in front of all his classmates and these smiling boomer officials to swear his life to this garbage all over again. That is not happening. He is absolutely seething. The announcer awkwardly prompts him to read the pledge. The whole hall goes dead silent as our boy just stands there. The other cadets are looking around confused, but Berger finally snaps. He screams at the top of his lungs that the standard is complete trash and he refuses to pledge to something so unbelievably stupid. Our boy is absolutely fuming. The announcer is sweating bullets trying to get him to read the Great Demon King's standard, but he just stands there. He flat out refuses to read the pledge and the whole hall goes dead silent. Then he lets it rip. He screams at the top of his lungs that he refuses to pledge himself to something so unbelievably stupid. He calls the standard foolish and completely messed up. He declares that the Demon King's standard is absolute trash. The Academy officials are losing their minds. One guy's glasses literally shatter from the sheer force of the disrespect. His shout echoes out of the massive Academy building into the night sky for everyone to hear. And just like that, our boy goes from being the Academy's top student to dead last in a matter of seconds. A massive fist slams the desk as the Archduke completely loses his mind. He screams our boy's name and demands he take back his trash talk about the sacred standards. If he refuses to apologize to the entire demon realm right this second, his deployment is getting swapped to Arin. The peanut gallery immediately starts sweating. Arin is basically a meat grinder where demon kings drop by the dozens. Half the crowd thinks it is a guaranteed death sentence, while the other half thinks he deserves to get packed up for disrespecting the rules. The Archduke glares down from his balcony, fully expecting an apology. But our guy just looks up with a defiant smirk. He is absolutely not backing down. The Archduke snaps, calling him completely hopeless, and instantly triggers a massive red magic circle right under his feet. Effective immediately, he is getting shipped off to the worst zone on the map. Berger gets sucked through the portal and starts free-falling from the clouds. He casually admits to himself that getting banished was pretty much guaranteed after causing such a massive scene. As he plummets toward the walled city of Arin, his top graduate badge shatters into pieces, officially stripping him of all his VIP privileges. Our boy touches down in the frozen wasteland with a massive shockwave. He isn't just going to survive this snowy death trap. He is going to flip the script entirely. If the heroes want to exploit the traditional rules, he will just have to exploit the heroes' standards instead. Meanwhile, a very dapper demon is getting ready for his big day. A fresh shave and a crisp collar are mandatory when you are the valedictorian. Meet Gordon Dyrek, the absolute top graduate of the Demon Academy. You see, while the Demon King Academy trains the actual bosses, this place trains the elite minions who serve them. And by law, the #1 minion gets paired with the #1 boss. The runner-up gives him a sarcastic congratulations, while the bronze medalist literally sees these with pure jealousy. Gordon just smiles it off because he knows he hit the absolute jackpot. He is a massive fanboy for Lord Burge and thinks graduating in the same year is a literal blessing from the heavens. He is already daydreaming about conquering dimensions together and building giant statues of themselves like the ultimate power couple. This four-eyed elf is the top demon graduate. He is fully ready to ride the coattails of the #1 demon king straight into the history books. But his glorious delusions of grandeur are instantly shattered when our boy publicly denounces their sacred rules as absolute garbage. Thanks to a strict regulation stating the top demon must serve the top king, the suit guy gets dragged down with him. He finds himself freezing his butt off in the deadly Urgest Mountains with his luggage. He is super confused since his boss was officially stripped of all his followers, but then a familiar face trudges through the snow to greet him. The elf demands to know why our regressor would pull a stunt like that in front of the entire academy. He completely loses his mind and starts screaming his lungs out. Our boy tells him to chill before he goes bald, but the demon shrieks that his hairline is the least of their problems right now. Our regressor is a bit thrown off. In his past life, this advisor was always super composed and confident, but just as quickly as he crashed, the elf snaps right back to his smug self. He declares that surviving this death trap will be tough, but with the two of them teaming up, they can totally pull it off. Our boy is completely unfazed by the freezing weather while his new Four Eyes lackey is fighting for his life carrying the luggage. The suit guy finally catches his breath and promises to fulfill his duty as the top graduate demon. He immediately starts quoting the sacred Demon King rulebook. Rule 1 states the tower has to be built somewhere accessible so the heroes can actually find it. He points out that this freezing monster-infested mountain range is literally the worst possible real estate on the market. But our guy completely ignores the nerd and just slams the tower seed straight into the snow. The lackey absolutely loses his mind, asking if he is throwing away his entire pride as a demon king. Berger totally gets why the guy is tweaking out. That blind faith in the standards is carved into their DNA. You basically have to get decapitated in a past life to realize it is all a massive scam, so he just clenches his fist until it bleeds. He drips his blood right onto the crystal to feed the seed. The suit guy watches in absolute horror as a massive red shockwave erupts across the mountain range. The seed absorbs his blood and immediately goes nuclear. A massive red magic circle expands across the frozen wasteland. Our boy just smiles. He knows this territory is absolutely crawling with heroes looking for an easy payday. The system scans his demonic dragon DNA and confirms his identity before ripping a massive fortress straight out of the earth. He calmly explains that the old rules are basically a cheat code for the humans. Around here, they are not the Demon King standards at all. They are the hero standards. The glasses guy is completely speechless that his boss actually pulled this off. He trails behind as our guy casually strolls through the front doors. But inside it is basically a giant empty warehouse, no traps and no monsters. Just a completely bare base for a Demon King who got stripped of all his VIP perks. Walking through their completely empty new crib, the glasses guy realizes there is no undo button for this tower. So he pivots to the next item on the Demon King checklist. Rule number 2 states they need to kidnap a royal, preferably one super close to the throne to farm maximum demonic energy. He pulls up the map and begs our boy to snatch the princess with the highest succession rank from the nearest kingdom. It is the most basic, by-the-book play imaginable. Surprisingly, the Demon King agrees to the kidnapping part but tells his sidekick to stay behind and guard the empty tower. The elf breathes a massive sigh of relief, totally convinced his boss was just acting out from graduation stress and is finally following the rules. He asks who the target is as our boy literally steps out the window. But our guy is not about to make things easy for the heroes. Instead of hitting the neighbor, he flies all the way to the southernmost nation on the continent, the Kingdom of Hilderin. He zeroes in on a quiet little balcony in the dead of night. Hovering outside the glass, he spots his prize. It is the 13th princess, literally the royal with the absolute lowest presence and zero political value. He locks eyes with the blonde girl, ready to declare his grand kidnapping, but ends up looking just as stunned as she is. And right on cue, our suit guy completely loses his mind. He screams at the top of his lungs that kidnapping a nobody princess is the exact opposite of their sacred rules. The poor guy is about to pop a blood vessel. The blonde girl blinks up at our horned intruder and casually asks who he is. Our boy is completely thrown off. He just broke into her room to do some classic villain kidnapping and she is treating him like a lost delivery driver. He wonders if this girl thinks Demon Kings are just a joke. Before he can even try to look intimidating, she just smiles and offers herself up on a silver platter. She literally tells him he can take her. Our guy is absolutely flabbergasted. He immediately gets suspicious. She is way too calm for someone getting abducted by a literal demon. He leans in and demands to know what kind of trap she is setting up. He warns her that he is desperate and not about to fall for any royal tricks. But she just keeps that innocent smile and swears she is not plotting a thing. The tension is making him sweat. He is overthinking every possible angle. Meanwhile, she just cheerfully extends her hand like they are about to hit the dance floor and asks if they should get going. Cut to the freezing Urgis Mountains where our boy flies his new captive back to his icy tower. He struts into the main hall carrying her bridal style right past his panicked glasses-wearing subordinate. He orders his guy to just let her chill on the 4th floor. The subordinate is completely baffled and asks why they are not throwing her in the dungeon. Our boy just gives him a look that says, "Do not question my genius." Left completely alone on the cold, hard floor of the 4th floor, the blonde princess finally takes a second to process her kidnapping. She thinks back to her cushy life in the kingdom. No fluffy pillows, no warm blankets, no maids waiting on her hand and foot, and definitely no pretty gardens with butterflies. It is absolutely nothing like her royal home. But honestly, she is kind of vibing with it. Meanwhile, our boy is already dealing with office politics. His Four Eyes assistant hands him an invitation from the Tower of Beasts for a supposed welcome party. Our guy immediately calls cap on that. Demon Kings are usually way too arrogant to team up, but since they are all getting hunted by heroes, they have formed a little union. He figures he might as well go network and have a light chat. Cut to a massive overgrown tower in the middle of a jungle. Inside, he is greeted by Draxon, the Demon King of Beasts, who is just casually tearing into a giant hunk of meat on his throne. The giant furball takes one look at our protagonist and immediately starts talking trash, calling him completely unimpressive for a guy who just publicly roasted their sacred traditions. Our boy just sighs, instantly regretting his decision to leave the house today. The giant wolf beast tries to flex his seniority. He tells our boy that Arcane ordered him to keep a close eye on the new arrival, but Berger just scoffs. He casually calls the Archduke a noisy old vampire geezer and figures getting banished to Arain was not enough to fix the old man's mood. The Beast King absolutely loses his mind at the disrespect. He screams at Berger for insulting the Archduke and slams his giant meat bone right into the dirt to intimidate the rookie. Berger just stares blankly and asks if this overgrown mutt actually knows why he is here. The wolf smugly claims it is because Berger mocked the sacred Demon King rules. But Berger is done playing nice. He brings his foot down and completely shatters the bone with a massive shockwave that blows the beast back. Flashing a terrifying glare, Berger makes it crystal clear he does not care about their stupid traditions. The werewolf instantly starts sweating bullets. Terrified out of his mind, the beast stammers out his real objective. He was just sent to verify if Berger actually kidnapped a princess yet, warning him that he will lose his position if he fails to report it within a month. Having heard enough, our guy just turns his back and walks away. He casually drops the bomb that he already bagged a princess, and she perfectly suits his tastes, leaving the entire wolf pack completely dumbfounded. Back at his snowy crib, our boy brushes off his subordinate's praise. He just flexed on a senior Demon King, but to him it was just a casual Tuesday. He sends the glasses guy off to check on their hostage so he can figure out how to use her. Alone on his throne, the reality of his rebellion sets in. Pissing off the entire demon establishment is going to be a massive headache, but our guy has zero regrets. He would rather die than bow down to those traditionalist losers again. Time to grind. He pulls up his status window, ready to build his empire from the ground up. Since he purposely grabbed the most irrelevant princess on the map, he expects a measly payout, but his jaw drops when he sees over 13,000 points sitting in his account. Before he can process this glitch in the Matrix, a video message pops up from the giant wolf guy he just bullied. The Beast King is suddenly singing his praises. He congratulates our boy on his massive achievement and asks if his whole rebel act was just a big brain cover-up. A cold sweat breaks out on our boy's face as he realizes something is horribly wrong. Just as our guy is trying to figure out his sudden point boost, his glasses-wearing subordinate comes sprinting down the hall in an absolute panic. He screams that there is a massive problem on the 4th floor. Our boy rushes over expecting a disaster, but instead he is hit with a face full of butterflies and sunshine. He stares in pure disbelief. A system window pops up confirming that his dark and dreary dungeon floor is currently undergoing full naturalization. The entire room has been transformed into a lush and vibrant meadow complete with a fake blue sky, and right in the middle of this magical ecosystem is his hostage, happily playing with a bunch of cute slime spirits like she is on a summer vacation. Our boy starts sweating bullets. He knows that creating a living ecosystem out of thin air is a legendary feat that requires mastering all 4 elements. There is only one spiritist on the entire continent capable of pulling that off, and it definitely is not the useless 13th princess he thought he grabbed. The blonde girl smiles brightly and casually drops the bomb. He totally kidnapped the wrong girl. She is actually Ernan, the first princess of the kingdom. Meanwhile, back at the Hilderan kingdom, all hell has officially broken loose. Word has spread that their most precious first prince has been abducted by a demon king. The king is absolutely losing his mind with rage. He immediately orders his entire military and all his strongest heroes to mobilize, screaming at them to bring his daughter back or else. Our boy just accidentally triggered a full-scale war. The blonde menace hits him with a smug grin. She casually explains that she used a royal heirloom ring to completely mask her massive mana pool. She tilts her head and asks if our boy still wants to send her back now that he knows the truth. Our demon king is left absolutely speechless. His brain goes into overdrive. If he returns the princess he just kidnapped, he will look like a total coward. No kingdom is going to fear a pushover, and that means his demonic energy farming will completely tank. He grits his teeth and decides he just has to stick this out. Suddenly, a system alert pops up warning him about massive amounts of rage being directed straight at him. He checks his balance and his jaw drops. His demonic energy points just skyrocketed to nearly 20,000. He quickly realizes the kingdom must have already singled him out as the culprit. He turns back to the blonde and flatly tells her that nothing changes. She is still his hostage. Meanwhile, way down south at the Grand Cathedral Castle of Hilderan, things are getting spicy. The king is absolutely losing his mind on the throne. He orders his court to hunt down the foolish demon king and bring his daughter back immediately. His advisors are sweating bullets, trying to explain that they do not even know which demon king took her yet. This just makes the king scream even louder that his precious princess is gone while they stand around doing nothing. Meanwhile, at the castle, the king's advisor points out a massive plot hole. The last demon king who kidnapped a royal got absolutely jumped by heroes and packed up. The other suits gasp as the math finally starts mathing. The king's hand shakes with pure rage as he realizes this has to be a brand new demon king trying to make a name for himself. A scout rushes in with the tracking data, reporting the teleportation magic leads straight to the frozen wasteland of the Urgest Mountains. The king is absolutely flabbergasted. Cut to our boy's icy new crib. His stressed-out assistant warns him that the Hilderan army is about to pull up, but our demon king just flashes a cocky grin. He tells his right-hand man to chill because there is zero chance a royal army is marching all the way up here. Back at the castle, the king realizes the exact same thing. Hilderan is way down south, and there is no way the neighboring countries are just going to let a massive foreign army casually stroll through their borders. Our boy knew exactly what he was doing. Out of options, the defeated king slumps over the war table and orders his men to outsource the job to the Hero Guild. Back at the Hero Guild, a crowd gathers around the missing princess poster, but the moment they see the destination is the Urgest Mountains, it is a hard pass. They know that place is crawling with hellish monsters, and these guys are not about to risk their necks just to play hero. Our boy totally called it. He knows these so-called heroes only care about getting paid, which is exactly why he set up shop in the most dangerous zip code available. His advisor is low-key impressed, realizing his boss might ignore the rules, but he knows this world like the back of his hand. Almost like he has done this before. Meanwhile, the king of Hilderan is having an absolute meltdown. He cannot believe these mercenaries are prioritizing their profit margins over saving his precious daughter. Back at the tower, our demon king checks out his system shop. He figures it will take a hot minute for the humans to actually form a competent rescue party and make the trek up north. But even with the delay, he knows his current stash of demonic energy will not be enough to stop a full-blown army of top-tier heroes. He remembers those guys all too well. So he drops a bombshell on his advisor. He tells him to hit up the Beast King because they are about to liquidate some demonic energy and trade it in for cold, hard human cash. The poor elf's brain practically short-circuits at the sheer absurdity of selling their most precious resource. Demonic energy is the ultimate currency of the underworld. It lets demons transcend their physical limits and unlock god-tier powers. So naturally, his right-hand man is absolutely losing his mind when the boss says he is going to sell it all for human cash. But our guy is playing 4D chess. He knows his current energy levels are way too low to stop a full hero invasion. But with a fat stack of human gold, he can buy exactly what he needs. Cut to Holton work. It is a heavily fortified human city right near his snowy mountain base. Our boy rolls up in a basic black cloak, claiming to be a solo mercenary. The guards immediately call Cap because nobody goes to these mountains alone. But before they can interrogate him, he just flicks a solid gold coin into the guard's hand. Bribery works every single time. The guards instantly split the cash and let him stroll right through the front gates. Now inside the bustling city, he realizes he is going to need a local guide to find the black market. Meanwhile, at the local mercenary guild headquarters, the captain is living his best life. He is just kicking back with a beer and bragging about how easy they have it here. They just let the actual soldiers fight the monsters and then swoop in to steal the loot. His subordinate brings up the terrifying new rumors about a demon king setting up a tower right in their backyard. But the captain just laughs it off as fake news. He confidently claims that demon kings always build their dungeons in super convenient spots for heroes to find. He refuses to believe any demon would be crazy enough to travel across the entire continent just to kidnap a princess. Another merc chimes in saying even the official hero guild rejected the rescue quest because the location is just too dangerous. Back at the tavern, these bozos are having a grand old time laughing off the rumors. The leader is literally standing on a table, shouting that the whole princess kidnapping thing is just a cheap trick to milk more money out of them. But their little comedy routine gets cut short when our boy Berger materializes right behind the boss man. He whispers a little something in his ear, and the dude absolutely eats dirt trying to get away. Berger just cracks his knuckles with this absolute menace of a smile. The mercs realize they have got an intruder and charge him all at once. Big mistake. Berger just starts handing out naps left and right. He is moving so fast these guys are just exploding into the air before they even know what hit them. One massive dude tries to pull a fast one from behind, but Berger just casually grabs his face and introduces it to the floorboards. The rest of the crew panics and brings out the crossbows. But our guy just bulldozes straight through the volley, sending the entire tavern's furniture and its patrons flying into the stratosphere. With the whole squad wiped out in about 5 seconds flat, Berger grabs the trembling leader by the hair. He flashes this absolutely diabolical grin, letting the guy know that playtime is officially over and it is time to start talking. Outside, the locals are completely unfazed by the absolute ruckus going on inside the tavern. And by ruckus, I mean our boy is currently redecorating the place with the mercenaries' faces. He effortlessly wipes the floor with the entire squad, leaving them scattered like dropped loot. With the peanut gallery taking a nap, our dark-cloaked menace steps on the leader to ask a simple question. The guy is absolutely terrified as our boy hits him with the glowing red eyes of doom, demanding to know exactly where the local slave market is. Cut to a fancy mansion that definitely screams sketchy underground business. The newly traumatized mercenary guides him right to the merchant, who proudly shows off his basic stock of human captives. But our boy is not here for the standard banner pulls. He tosses a heavy bag of gold, asking for the premium VIP stash. The merchant's eyes practically turn into dollar signs, flashing a gold tooth as he eagerly agrees. Our boy just shakes his head, realizing that human greed for cash is exactly the same as a demon's thirst for dark energy. The greedy merchant leads him down into the dark basement. A quick flashback reminds us of the master plan. Our boy is using human money to buy up the rare otherworldly species that humans managed to capture. And his first target is sitting right in front of him, a chained-up, highly aggressive elf who looks ready to bite someone's face off. The merchant leads our boy down to the VIP section and shows off his rarest merchandise. It is a chained-up elf wearing a mask. Our Demon King plans to buy this guy and use him as a double agent to completely sabotage the heroes from the inside. Meanwhile, back at the Hilderan Kingdom, the king is officially hitting the panic button. He summons his top knight to the throne room. This shiny armor boy is Hillen Cargill, and he drops to one knee ready to serve. He vows to rescue the princess and bring back the Demon King's head, all in the name of justice. Good luck with that, buddy. Our boy needs a spy to confuse the incoming heroes. Since elves are basically the poster children for innocence, they make the perfect undercover agents. He hits up the local black market and points straight at the green-haired guy locked in the cage. The greedy merchant asks what kind of merchandise he is looking for, but his loudmouth bodyguard starts barking about how our guy better have the coin to back it up. Burry just casually leaks a fraction of his demonic aura and asks if they have a problem. The merchant immediately starts sweating bullets and backpedals, happily accepting the gold. With the transaction complete, our boy tells the two humans to get out so he can inspect his new purchase in private. The merchant tries to warn him that the elf might go feral, but eventually just clicks his tongue and dips out. Left alone in the damp basement, Berger looks down at the miserable slave. He snaps his fingers and uses a pulse of purple magic to instantly shatter the heavy metal muzzle. The elf takes one breath of that dark magic and immediately clocks him, asking what a demon is doing all the way out here. Our guy cuts right to the chase and offers him a chance at revenge against the humans who locked him up. The elf admits the offer is super tempting, but he refuses to trust a demon. Berger sweetens the pot, telling him that if he pledges his absolute loyalty for exactly 50 years, he will grant him total freedom. He even points out that 50 years is basically a weekend for an immortal elf. But the pointy-eared captive is not buying it. He glares right back and says the demon race is actively trying to burn down the sacred world tree that his people worship. And since that tree literally sustains their entire world, there is zero chance he is shaking hands with the enemy. The elf slave is not buying it. He asks how he is supposed to trust a demon, pointing out that it is super weird for a demon to be asking an elf for help in the first place. Our boy just smirks and decides to play hardball. He summons a magical contract and swears on the great Demon King's standards that he will keep his word and never lay a finger on the world tree. In exchange, he demands the elf swear his loyalty on that very same tree. The magic shatters the elf's chains. Free at last, the green-haired guy rubs his bruised neck and introduces himself as Granada of the Maple Tribe. But he is still playing hard to get, stating he will only make the vow once he actually meets the Demon King who sent our guy on this errand. Our boy just flashes a cocky grin and drops the bomb that he is the Demon King. Granada is absolutely flabbergasted before he bursts into maniacal laughter. He grabs our guy and shakes him like a ragdoll, calling cap because Demon Kings get super weak when they leave their towers. He jokingly declares that if this guy is actually a Demon King, he will pledge his loyalty for a whole century. Cut to the tower, where Granada realizes he messed up big time. Our boy is sitting on his throne, happily locking the elf into that 100-year verbal contract. Granada absolutely loses his mind, calling the whole setup a massive scam since the first 3 floors of this so-called dungeon are completely empty. The elf immediately starts whining. He complains that the 4th floor is just a bunch of plants and there isn't a single monster in sight. He screams that the heroes are going to tear them apart and flat out refuses to work in such a dump. Our boy just sits there and casually flexes his raw demonic aura. The pressure is so intense the elf instantly starts sweating bullets. He suddenly remembers that all those disaster-level monsters outside didn't dare attack them on the way up because they were terrified of this guy. Realizing he is way out of his depth, the elf drops to his knees and swears absolute loyalty for the next 100 years. He figures since a literal Demon King bought him, he is about to be assigned some super important role in a grand evil scheme to get his revenge on humanity. But our boy just smiles and tells him to go make dinner. The elf is completely dumbfounded as he finds himself stuck in the kitchen chopping green onions. To make matters worse, the kidnapped princess skips in with her elemental spirits asking if she can bake some vegetable bread. Cut to the 5th floor dining room where the most bizarre dinner party in the demon realm is taking place. Back at the dinner table, the green-haired elf finally connects the dots. He asks if the blonde girl casually eating bread is the actual crown princess of the Hilderan kingdom. Our boy casually confirms it. This sends the new recruit into an absolute meltdown. He screams that the tower is completely empty and they have 0 defenses against the inevitable hero invasion. Even the glasses guy nods along because honestly the elf is making some solid points. But our Demon King just chews his steak and tells him to sit down and eat. He even compliments the food while the kidnapped princess cheerfully chimes in that she helped cook. The poor elf is just left questioning his entire reality. This is the least evil kidnapping in history. After lunch, they head down to the lush 4th floor. Our boy explains his actual master plan. He needs the elf to act as a spy in the human world to disrupt things from the inside. But before sending him off on a covert op, he needs to test his combat skills. He smirks and tells the elf to come at him. The elf deadpans, asking how he is supposed to beat a literal Demon King inside his own domain. So our guy sweetens the deal. He promises to only use 1 hand and 0 demonic energy, plus he throws in a massive incentive. If the elf actually manages to win, he will slash his 100-year contract right in half. That is all the motivation the green-haired guy needs. He instantly powers up and launches himself forward with a massive burst of speed. He throws a heavy punch straight at our boy. But the Demon King casually catches the glowing fist with 1 hand. He does not even flinch as he analyzes the elf's technique, noting that his physical enhancements are pretty solid for a former slave. The green-haired elf thinks he has the upper hand. He binds our boy's leg with some glowing magic vines and lunges forward with a glowing green fist. He yells at the Demon King to blame himself for picking the wrong opponent, fully convinced he is about to win back 50 years of his life. But our dark-haired protagonist just flashes a wicked smile. A terrifying demonic aura erupts behind him, completely swallowing the room in darkness. He casually reminds the elf exactly who he is fighting, hoping the guy hasn't forgotten that he is literally the Demon King. The elf instantly starts sweating bullets and begs him to wait, but it is way too late for that. A massive shockwave shakes the entire snowy mountain as our boy absolutely humbles his new employee. Cut to the mercenary headquarters in Horton Walk. The mercenary captain enthusiastically welcomes our boy back, completely ignoring the fact that his entire squad is still covered in bandages from the tavern brawl. The battered subordinates mumble in the background, totally disgusted that their boss is sucking up to the guy who just beat the living crap out of them. But morals quickly fly out the window the second our boy drops a massive bag overflowing with gold coins. The mercenaries instantly pledge their lifelong loyalty to him. Our boy then introduces a cloaked figure who will be relaying his orders from now on. The squad immediately starts complaining about having a random stranger join their team. The elf introduces himself as Granada, but his face looks like it just went 12 rounds with a freight train. The mercenaries take one look at his battered mug and immediately burst into tears. They know that look. That is the universal sign of a guy who just met our boy's fists. They instantly welcome him into the fold with open arms, bonding over their shared trauma. Our Demon King watches this beautiful display of Stockholm Syndrome. He notes that despite looking like absolute clowns, these guys are actually seasoned pros. Plus, they are incredibly easy to manipulate. He knows the only hero who would actually answer the kingdom's call right now is Hillen Cargill, the guy who took down the Demon King of Lust. So he turns to his newly formed and highly traumatized squad and barks out their very first mission. They need to investigate this legendary hero. Back at his snowy fortress, our boy is chilling on his throne. Since he outsourced the whole hero tracking gig to his new elf slave, he figures it is time to focus on his own gains. But there is a slight problem. He completely blew all his demonic energy points on cash, so the standard upgrade menu is totally locked out for him. Luckily, he is parked right in the middle of the Urgis Mountains. This frozen wasteland is completely untouched by humanity thanks to the brutal mana storms and massive shadow beasts roaming around. Because of that isolation, the local flora has been soaking up pure natural mana for centuries. This results in ultra-rare spirit blossoms popping up in the snow. They might not pack the exact same punch as pure demonic energy, but our Demon King will take what he can get. He casually tells his stressed-out butler that he is going out to pick some magic flowers. The glasses guy immediately starts sweating and points out that finding a tiny glowing weed in a massive blizzard is basically impossible. Right on cue, a knock hits the heavy doors. The kidnapped princess pokes her head in with a literal slime chilling on her hair, asking if they are busy. The butler looks like his brain just short-circuited, but our boy realizes he just found the ultimate cheat code. Since she is a genius elementalist, she is basically a walking radar for natural mana. Cut to 5 seconds later and the Demon King is dragging his overly excited hostage out into the snow to play fetch. The blonde princess is absolutely buzzing. She admits she has been bored out of her mind lately and reminds our boy of his promise. If she tracks down the spirit blossoms, he has to let her decorate the 4th floor of his tower. The Demon King just sighs internally, wondering how much more of a Pinterest board she plans to make his dungeon. Before she can keep yapping, he scoops her up and tells her to hold on tight. He unfurls his massive demon wings and launches them straight into the sky. The sudden takeoff forces her to squeeze her eyes shut, but as she slowly opens them, she is completely mesmerized. The view of the Urgis Mountains from way up high is absolutely breathtaking, and she realizes just how massive the world really is. She thinks back to her suffocating royal life of endless studying and magic training. Now she is literally the first person to ever fly over these peaks. She excitedly shares this fun fact with her kidnapper, but our boy is completely unfazed. He just tells her to drop the formalities since they are going to be stuck together for a long time. Our boy quickly reminds the princess who is actually in charge here, threatening to toss her in the underground prison if she gets too comfortable. She immediately apologizes and sends her little water spirit out to do the heavy lifting. She cheers the little guy on as it zooms off to scout the snowy mountains. The Demon King figures it will take a while to find anything out here, but the spirits are definitely faster than his own radar. Sure enough, the little blobs come zipping back with good news. They found a glowing blue spirit blossom just chilling in the snow. But there is a catch. A whole squad of ugly beastmen are already camping the loot drop. Landing right in front of the mob, our guy flexes his authority and orders them to back off the flower. But these guys are not exactly the sharpest tools in the shed. They flat out refuse to listen to a demon and threaten to kill him on the spot. Our boy just chuckles, realizing his butler was right about these wild mutts. He sparks up his signature purple flames and decides a little barbecue is in order. The brainless orcs charge forward screaming about protecting their turf, but our overpowered protagonist does not even flinch. He just casually charges up a massive ball of dark magic, ready to send these low-level mobs straight back to the lobby. Our boy does not even hesitate. He unleashes a massive wave of purple demonic energy, completely engulfing the beast horde. The monsters scream in absolute agony as a giant demonic dragon head materializes from the blast, roaring with pure destructive power. A few surviving Puel orcs try to pull a fast one. They charge straight for the princess and yell to take out the weak link first. But the Demon King just calmly charges up a sphere of dark magic and drops a massive shockwave, shielding her without breaking a single sweat. The blonde princess is absolutely stunned. She knows these orcs can easily take down ogres, yet they cannot even get within 10 feet of them. Even his top graduate advisor is left speechless, crossing his arms in awe as the purple dragon energy completely obliterates the remaining enemies. The battlefield goes dead quiet, leaving nothing but frozen orc popsicles buried in the snow. With the trash cleared out, the princess excitedly drops to her knees in front of a glowing blue hyacinth. It is a super rare water and ice attribute spirit blossom packed with pure mana. Our guy hands it over to keep her motivated. Knowing a little positive reinforcement goes a long way when you are keeping a royal hostage. Despite the princess working overtime to scan the mountains, they completely strike out on finding a second patch of blossoms. Back at his snowy crib, our boy admires his new loot. He admits that kidnapping the lowest tier royal felt like a massive fumble at first, but seeing her turn his dungeon into a literal spirit sanctuary while taking a nap proves she is way more useful than he thought. His elf butler interrupts the vibe check to drop some heavy news. The legendary hero just rolled out of the capital with a 32-man squad, but instead of rushing the boss room, they are doing a classic RPG grind, hitting up local villages to farm XP and level up on side quests. The butler pulls up a whole spreadsheet of standard monster ambush plans to slow them down. Our Demon King literally swipes them straight into the recycling bin. He refuses to send a single mob their way. Instead of feeding the heroes free experience points, he orders his new elf spy to infiltrate their party using his mercenary disguise. The butler is sweating bullets over this massive rule break, pointing out that their current tower defenses are absolute garbage against a leveled up hero squad. Our boy just smirks and announces he is going to recruit a dwarf to fix that. The butler absolutely loses his mind. He screams that packing their demonic tower with humans, elves, and now a diminutive species will make them the laughingstock of the underworld. But one flex of our boy's purple aura instantly shuts down the complaints. Our boy drops the real strategy on his stressed-out butler. He wants dwarven magical tech. Why wait for heroes to slowly grind through weak mobs when you can just welcome them to the first floor with dozens of heavy artillery cannons? The glasses guy is absolutely flabbergasted. He shakes his head, muttering about how this completely violates the sacred Demon King standards. But before he can even finish his complaint, our rogue boss just straight up vanishes from his throne. The poor elf realizes his boss just went on another solo kidnapping mission and absolutely loses his mind. Cut over to the underground dwarven city of Wolfner, where the clanging of metal echoes through the caverns. Down here, the absolute best blacksmith in the game, Loger Friedrich, is just minding his own business, hammering away at some glowing steel. Little does this bearded legend know he is officially scheduled to be abducted by a very impatient demon. Our boy finally arrives at Wolfner, the legendary underground city of the dwarves. He fought plenty of these guys in his past life, but this is his first time actually visiting their heavily guarded turf. Knowing exactly how to grease the wheels, he hits up the Midnight Inn and slides a fat stack of gold coins across the counter. He needs to find the absolute best blacksmith in town, and he knows dwarves love money just as much as those greedy heroes do. The bartender happily points him toward a massive hole in the center of the city, explaining there is a secure lift that checks IDs to keep intruders out. But our Demon King does not have time for TSA checkpoints. He just casually vaults over the railing and plummets straight down the shaft like an absolute madman. Following the tip to hit the deepest room on the lowest floor, he follows the echoing sounds of heavy metal clanging. Peeking through the grand doors, he spots his target. Meet Loger Friedrich, the supposed greatest blacksmith in the city, currently hammering away at an anvil while literal magical flames erupt around him. Berger watches the mana practically dance off the metal and realizes this guy is the real deal. Deciding to skip the pleasantries, our boy reaches out from the shadows, fully planning to just quietly bag the dwarf and dip. Suddenly, the blacksmith strikes his anvil with a massive hammer, unleashing a violent burst of flame and energy. Our boy is genuinely shocked that this little guy managed to sense his tiny trace of demonic energy. As the dwarf swings his glowing mallet around for a counterattack, our Demon King wonders if this guy could actually be a hero. He easily catches the massive weapon barehanded right in the middle of the flames and looks down at the blacksmith, confirming his suspicions. "You are a hero." The goggled dwarf tries to yell a tough guy challenge, but our dark-haired menace just flashes a wicked smile and calls him out for being incredibly weak. He easily knocks the guy out and tosses him over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes, leaving the legendary hammer to clatter uselessly on the floor. A second later, the city guards burst into the workshop, apologizing for the intrusion and asking about the noise. They find the forge completely empty and filled with smoke, immediately raising the alarm to lock down the city and search every inch of the facility. Meanwhile, our kidnapper is already chilling on a high vantage point, pinning his new prize to the ground, while he watches the chaos unfold below. Our boy tells the dwarf to keep his trap shut, but the little guy immediately assumes the Demon King is here to snatch up their princess. Our guy brushes it off, saying he couldn't care less about her, but the dwarf is convinced he is lying through his teeth. He is sweating buckets, cursing his absolute garbage luck. Turns out the only reason this guy has been living a quiet life is because he is completely terrified of fighting Demon Kings. The system even hits him with a brutal weak label just to rub it in. Since the dwarf wants to play hardball, our boy decides to get creative. He casually suggests spreading a nasty little rumor that the great dwarven hero sold out his own princess just to beg for his life. The dwarf absolutely loses his mind. He knows his reputation is so pathetic that the whole city would instantly believe it. Pinned to the floor and panicking, the dwarf suddenly remembers a massive loophole. Demon Kings are obsessed with their sacred standards. If our guy swears on those standards to keep him safe, there is no way he would ever break that vow. With that in mind, the little guy starts cooking up a desperate plan to save his own skin. The dwarf happily agrees to sell out his kingdom and leads our boy away with a literal sparkle in his eye. Back at his massive workshop, the place is completely deserted. The local guards are just standing around looking absolutely clueless about where their star blacksmith went. The dwarven Princess Louise is absolutely losing her mind. She is built like a brick house in a pink dress and cannot fathom how a literal hero got kidnapped right under their noses. One of the guards sweats bullets trying to explain that the guy is a blacksmith first and a fighter second, but she is not having it. She leaps down from the balcony and orders them to find him immediately. She crushes solid metal in her bare hands with an unhinged smile and threatens to rip all their heads off if they fail. Meanwhile, our boy is suffering through the worst escort mission ever. He is stuck staring at the dwarf wiggling his dump truck through a tiny cave tunnel. The blacksmith sweats and complains that the passage is just too narrow while our demon king readies a blast of dark magic just to speed things up. They finally emerge onto a cliff overlooking a massive underground bridge. The dwarf immediately collapses to the rock floor, panting for his life. He proudly declares that he did his part and tells the demon king that he is completely on his own from here on out. The dwarf stammers that our boy swore a sacred vow on the demon king standards, but our boy just flashes a villainous grin and drops the bomb that he does not give a single damn about those trash rules. The dwarf absolutely loses his mind, crying about what kind of psycho demon king he is dealing with. Our boy reaches out a shadowy claw asking what he should do with this guy now. Realizing he is about to get packed up, the dwarf immediately folds like a cheap lawn chair. He throws his pride in the trash and starts groveling on the dirt, begging to be used. He promises to craft any weapon and even offers to be a double agent spy just to save his own skin. Our boy is honestly baffled that a so-called hero is willing to stoop this low. But inside his head, the dwarf is already plotting his grand revenge the second he gets away. Too bad for him, our boy just instantly teleports them straight to the 4th floor of his tower. The dwarf is left completely blue screen staring at this magical Disney princess meadow. The top graduate demon is having a full-blown panic attack in the background about bringing a dwarf here while the elf spy tries to call in on the monitor. The kidnapped princess casually asks if this guy came to save her before realizing he definitely did not. The dwarf starts sweating and complains that our boy promised to let him go. But our boy hits him with the ultimate technicality. He never said he would let him go, he only promised to show mercy, and keeping him breathing is technically mercy. Our boy casually explains that knocking the dwarf out and dragging him here was just the most logical move. I mean, you can never be too careful with a hostage, right? The dwarf processes this absolute villain logic for a second before his brain completely short-circuits and he just starts busting out laughing. He is absolutely losing his mind in the middle of this beautiful spirit field while the rest of the squad just watches him glitch out. Our demon king just smiles, knowing he completely broke the guy. The dwarf is literally crying tears of pure terror disguised as joy because he knows he is trapped for life. Wasting zero time, our boy looks down at his brand new broken employee and hands out his first official assignment. He needs this legendary blacksmith to rig the entire 1st floor of his dungeon with a massive arsenal of heavy cannons. The goal is simple. They are going to blow those annoying heroes straight to the afterlife. Back at the hero prep station, our elf spy is checking in with the boss via hologram. He reports that the heroes are stocking up on fire-resistant gear because word on the street is the new Demon King slings black flames. They also think he is just too scared to send out monsters. Our boy just smirks. He knows the heroes are still out for blood, but without any loot or glory to farm, they will eventually get bored and stop leveling up. He orders the elf to keep watching them. Closing the call, the elf realizes the Demon King is basically starving the heroes of XP. He heads inside, thanking his lucky stars he is not on the receiving end of this guy's big brain plays. Meanwhile, our boy drops a massive restriction on his new dwarven blacksmith. No mana allowed for the 1st floor traps. The dwarf absolutely loses his mind, sweating bullets as he explains that traps without mana stones are useless. Heroes have crazy good energy sensing abilities, so they will spot normal traps from a mile away. Our boy does not care about excuses. He just casually summons a ball of black flame, heavily implying that the dwarf needs to figure it out or become barbecue. Suddenly, the dwarf has a massive change of heart. He screams that there actually is a way, prompting a deadpan stare from our boy. The dwarf frantically reveals he already invented a magical tool that completely hides mana traces. Our boy flashes that signature villain aura, making the dwarf sweat buckets and swear on his life he's not just stalling. Berger decides to play nice and trust him, but slaps a magical explosive collar on his neck just to keep things spicy. He casually mentions he can pop the guy's head off with a single hand gesture. He then hands him a holographic disguise mask, warning that taking it off is an instant game over. With his new hostage fully compliant, Berger goes on a month-long continental shopping spree. He hits up multiple kingdoms to gather all the necessary supplies and mana materials, tossing everything into his subspace pocket before dragging his new employee back to the underground city of Wolfner. Meanwhile, back at the dwarven base, a door gets absolutely obliterated. Enter the pink-haired muscle princess Louise, and she is throwing a massive tantrum. She screams at her guards for being completely useless, realizing the blacksmith's dug way too many escape routes and that her favorite weapon maker has definitely been snatched. She grabs a terrified guard by the collar, promising him a one-way ticket to the afterlife if they don't track him down. She orders her squad to go fill in every single tunnel the blacksmiths created. Left alone in the empty forge, she stares down at the scrap metal, her rage levels going completely off the charts. The beefy princess stares down at an unfinished blade left behind by her favorite blacksmith. She crushes the solid metal in her bare hands with a totally unhinged grin, deciding the guy is not allowed to die until her weapon is finished. Right on cue, our masked dwarf pops out of a secret floor hatch right behind her. The princess whips around, absolutely stunned to see the very guy she was just obsessing over. She glares down at the tiny blacksmith as he nervously stammers out a greeting, realizing he just walked right into the worst possible situation. The princess cracks her knuckles with a terrifying laugh, assuming he just went into hiding to avoid making her weapon. The dwarf desperately tries to explain it is a huge misunderstanding. But she is not hearing a word of it. She declares him her personal slave for life and charges up a massive glowing fist to punish him for running away, leaving the poor guy screaming for his life. Just as she brings the hammer down, a mysterious figure steps in and blocks the attack, sending the furious princess sliding back as she demands to know who just crashed her party. Our boy steps in with a heavy boot drop and tells the terrified dwarf to grab his gear and dip. The crazy muscle princess demands to know who the hell he is. Our guy just deadpans that he is the new boss of the pitiful blacksmith she was trying to extort. She absolutely loses it and charges him with glowing fists of fury. Our boy easily blocks her rapid-fire barrage of punches. He locks in and goes for a heavy counter kick, but this girl is built different. She catches his leg mid-air and yeets him across the room with a massive explosion. She thinks it is her turn to gloat, but our boy recovers instantly. He teleports right above her, grabs her by the crown, and violently slams her face first into the pavement. As she glares up at him, our guy finally recognizes her. This is Louise Werf, the second princess of the Dwarven Kingdom. She might not be an official hero, but in his past life she was an absolute unit who soloed entire armies of monsters. Our boy pins the crazy princess down but realizes he is on a serious ticking clock. If her royal guards show up now, he is totally cooked. Plus he just flashed his dark powers, so she definitely knows he is a demon king. Meanwhile, the dwarf is sweating bullets trying to unbolt the massive Mana's phantom machine. This giant metal orb is the exact tech our guy needs to hide his dungeon traps from the heroes. Berja flashes a terrifying purple aura and gives the blacksmith exactly 1 minute to finish the job, or he is dead meat. The dwarf screams and kicks into overdrive just as the pink-haired powerhouse erupts with golden lightning. Our boy straight up tells the dwarf he will abandon him if things get too spicy. Bracing for impact, Berja takes the absolute brunt of her diving attack. The shockwave tears up the floorboards as the princess charges up a massive glowing right hook. She screams that she is going to shatter the blacksmith's legs so he can never run away again. But our demon king just flashes a cocky grin and tells the dwarven royal to give it up. Right on cue, the massive pipes hiss and disconnect. The dwarf finally unhooks the giant machine and sucks the whole thing into his subspace pocket. The muscle mommy princess is absolutely losing her mind. She charges in with a glowing fist, screaming about how easy they think she is. But our boy stays frosty. He spots a split-second opening and delivers a brutal kick right to her chest, sending her flying back into the dirt. With the crazy royal out of the way, our demon king activates his subspace pocket to snatch up all the dismantled equipment. The princess tries to tank the red energy wave, screaming that his attacks are useless, but it is already too late. The boys have officially dipped, leaving a massive hole in the ceiling. Her useless guards finally show up asking what happened, and she immediately roasts them for being slowpokes. She orders them to chase the dwarf through the tunnel, but our guy left a little explosive parting gift to block their path. The princess just stands there in absolute disbelief. Did her personal blacksmith really go to these extreme lengths just to avoid making her a weapon? A sinister grin creeps across her face as she realizes the thrill of the hunt. She vows to personally scour the entire continent to drag him back, laughing like an absolute maniac. Loger is officially dealing with a yandere stalker, and there is no running from crazy. Back at the tower, our boy's new toy is finally getting dropped in. It is a massive gear-covered sphere that looks like it belongs in a steampunk convention. The top graduate is confused and the princess is just impressed by the size. But our demon king knows exactly what he is looking at. The dwarf engineer proudly announces that the Mana's phantom is fully installed. Our boy tells him to fire it up, throwing in a little death glare just to remind the guy that if this thing flops, he is getting recycled. The dwarf hits the switch and the machine roars to life, blasting the room with a blinding blue light. Suddenly, a system window pops up. The tower actually recognizes the device and offers to synchronize it for a cool 10,000 demonic energy points. Our boy did not even know his tower could do Bluetooth pairing, but he is not about to pass up an upgrade. He hits yes and watches his hard-earned points plummet down to just over 1,000. The machine instantly shifts gears, surging with purple lightning as its power source completely converts from regular mana to pure demonic energy. The dwarf absolutely loses his mind over this scientific breakthrough, while our boy realizes the guy had no idea this would actually happen. To test out their new toy, he turns to the princess and tells her to cast literally any spell she wants. To test out the new system, our boy has the princess unleash a massive multi-elemental nuke right in the lobby. The elf secretary immediately loses his mind, screaming that he just finished mopping the floors. But Berger steps outside into the freezing snow to check the real results. A spell that huge should have lit up the mountainside like a beacon, but looking back at the entrance, he can't see or feel a single drop of mana leaking out. The synchronization is flawless. He decides to push it a step further. Channeling his dark magic into the ground, he commands the entire massive structure to just straight up vanish. With another flick of his wrist, the giant fortress pops right back into existence. It is the ultimate stealth base. Checking his system window, he realizes this little magic trick just drained almost 1,000 demonic energy points. Still, he flashes a wicked grin, knowing this cloaking feature is going to be an absolute game changer. Meanwhile, the dwarf blacksmith is practically foaming at the mouth. He has never seen anything like this in history and begs to tear the whole place apart for research. The dwarf engineer is absolutely losing his mind with excitement. He screams out a massive yahoo and sprints toward the giant spherical device, ready to tear into his brand new toy. Our boy turns to the blonde hostage and tells her it is time to pull her weight. He wants her to sweep away the crafty heroes on the 4th floor. She points at herself and plays the innocent princess card. He fires back that she is a genius spiritist who literally refuses to go home. For a split second, our demon king actually feels a little guilty. He thinks maybe asking an innocent royal to betray humanity is pushing it, but then she immediately starts juggling fire and wind magic while asking which element she should use to murder her own kind. He instantly takes back his pity. He tells her to just act like a bad guy and he will grant her a wish. She agrees but slaps on a condition. Our guy thinks it will be something simple. Instead, she strikes a magical girl pose and asks if she should use her raw beauty to seduce the heroes to death. He flatly rejects the e-girl tactics and tells her to just follow the script. Sitting back on his throne, our Dark Lord reviews the master plan on his holographic screens. Step 1 is blasting the heroes with mass mana cannons on the 1st floor. Step 2 is using the princess as bait to finish off the survivors on the 4th floor. But looking at the projected army of over 200 heavily armored heroes, he realizes his current setup is still way too weak. He pulls out a glowing purple spirit blossom tainted by demonic energy. Since these corrupted flowers pack a massive punch, he decides it is time to go foraging for some serious upgrades. Our boy and the princess head out into the snow to hunt for more of those sweet spirit blossoms. But after wandering around, they are coming up empty-handed, and Berger is ready to call her spirits completely useless. Suddenly, a massive blue hand steps into view. Berger instantly charges up a blast, totally sick of dealing with these Pule orcs, but instead of attacking, the giant beastman drops straight to his knees, and his entire squad follows suit. Berger is caught off guard as the leader begs to serve the Demon King to atone for his ancestors' betrayal. But our boy isn't buying the whole original Sin Sob story. He tells the guy to cut the crap, knowing they just want a demonic power-up. The chieftain realizes there is no fooling him and has his boys bring out a chest. He pops it open to reveal 3 glowing spirit blossoms, which explains exactly why Berger couldn't find any. Our boy is actually impressed that this orc knows how to negotiate. The big blue guy explains that his tribe survived this frozen wasteland by valuing brains over brawn. Our boy smirks, asking if they sought him out because they are lacking in the muscle department. The chieftain just bows in silence, and honestly, Berger respects the hustle. He likes this guy's style. He fires up a wicked red magic circle, declaring he will only take the chieftain in as his personal kin. He brands the big guy with a glowing dragon crest, and boom, instant demonic glow up. Crew 2 gets a massive power boost, sprouting horns and packing on enough muscle to make a bodybuilder weep. The newly buffed chieftain roars his thanks, swearing his absolute loyalty to the Demon King. The rest of the tribe immediately follows suit, pledging their lives to their leader. With his new monster army secured, we cut back to the fully operational death trap that is Berger's tower. The Pule Orc Legion is stationed outside as the beefy first line of defense. Inside on the 1st floor, our kidnapped dwarf is locked and loaded with 60 heavy-duty mana cannons. Up on the 4th floor, the princess is chilling in her indoor garden with her elemental spirits, ready to play her part as the ultimate bait. Sitting on his throne like the final boss he is, Berger watches his entire setup on the monitors. All the pieces are finally on the board. Now he just needs those annoying heroes to pull up so he can give them a very warm, very explosive welcome. Our boy glares at his monitors and declares that all the pieces are finally in place. He invites the heroes to pull up so he can properly repay them for humiliating him in his past life. Meanwhile, out in the freezing woods, the legendary hero flashes a pearly white smile. He tells his new elven buddy Granada that they have finally arrived. The massive snowy peaks of the Urgest Mountains loom right in front of them. The hero party marches forward into the blizzard, completely unaware they are walking straight into a heavily fortified death trap. Over at the Holton Walk Fortress, the heroes are throwing a massive pre-game banquet. The local fortress master is absolutely glazing our golden boy Hillen, begging him to drop a hype speech to boost morale before the big raid. The old man screams for everyone's attention. The crowd goes dead silent as Hillen stands up, looking like a total main character. He tells the room full of knights and mercs that they have finally reached the final stretch. He flexes that the Demon King is probably shaking in his boots since he hasn't sent a single monster their way, but warns them to stay frosty. Raising his glass, he screams about making the foolish Demon King pay for kidnapping the princess, and the entire room erupts into a massive cringe-inducing cheer for justice. Meanwhile, our boy Granada is just standing there watching this circus. The Demon King totally called it. The hero party hasn't grown, but thanks to Hillen's insane popularity and PR skills, they haven't lost anyone either. He managed to secure merchant funding and keep the mercs from bailing. Granada just glares, probably wishing he could smack every single one of them in the back of the head. Our elf spy is having a major internal crisis. He suddenly realizes that if the heroes actually win and kill his boss, his 100-year slave contract gets voided. He slaps some sense into himself and heads out to the balcony for some fresh air to cool his traitorous thoughts. Out under the moonlight, he pulls out a magical burner phone to get his final marching orders from the Demon King. Our boy warns him to watch out for the snow, keep his guard up at night, and most importantly, stand way the hell back when the heroes finally open the tower doors. Before the elf can even ask what that means, the boss hangs up on him. The elf nearly jumps out of his skin when the golden boy hero suddenly strolls onto the balcony. He quickly pockets the crystal and plays it cool. The hero hands him a glass of fancy elf wine. Noticing his new companion looks a little stressed, the elf decides to probe for info and straight up asks if they can actually beat the Demon King. Staring into his glass, the hero admits he honestly has no clue. Raiding a boss tower is pure hell and it never goes smoothly. The elf pushes his luck, pointing out that the hero already killed the Demon King of Lust and absorbed his powers, so he asks to hear the legendary tale. But instead of bragging, the hero's face drops into a super shady scowl. The legendary hero is laying the charm on thick. He tells our undercover elf that his past victories were only possible thanks to brave meat shields, comrades like him. He claps the elf on the shoulder and suggests they head back inside to regale the fortress master with their epic tales. But the second the elf turns his back, the hero drops the golden boy act. His face twists into a sinister glare as he kisses a mysterious ring and silently prays for his new pawn to take good care of him. Yeah, this guy is definitely hiding some major red flags. The next morning, the fortress city is buzzing with hype. The massive army of heroes and mercenaries marches out the gates while the crowd screams their lungs out for their glorious leaders. Morale is absolutely through the roof. As they trek into the notoriously brutal snowy mountains, the soldiers start getting a little too comfortable. The weather is surprisingly clear and there is not a single monster in sight. They start joking that the local disaster-class beasts must be hibernating or just terrified of their legendary leader. And of course, the universe immediately punishes them for jinxing it as a purple slime plops right onto a smug soldier's head. The peaceful hike gets rudely interrupted when a glob of purple slime drops right onto a random grunt's forehead. He looks up and realizes it is literally raining monsters. Massive ghouls start crawling down the icy cliffs like a zombie apocalypse. The army immediately starts tweaking out. Our golden boy hero barks orders to lock into battle formation and protect the squad. The ghouls start snatching up soldiers left and right, but the commander reminds them the gorge is short, so they just need to push through the meat grinder. But then a scout spots a massive problem blocking the exit. A towering skeletal frost giant steps out of the blizzard looking like a straight-up raid boss. The hero tells his men to fall back and evacuate the gorge while he handles the big guy himself. The grunts are absolutely flabbergasted that he wants to solo this absolute unit of a skeleton. But our boy does not even hesitate. He leaps straight into the air right at the giant's glowing red eyes, ready to show off exactly why he is the legendary hero. Our golden boy hero smirks. He figures a pile of frozen bones can't possibly be tougher than the Demon King of Lust he already packed up. He leaps right at the massive skeletal frost giant, ready to solo this raid boss. He lands a heavy shockwave right on its ribcage. The giant claps back by slamming its massive arms into the cliffside, but our guy is already dodging. He sprints right up the monster's arm, crackling with blue lightning. Channeling all his main character energy into his blade, he unleashes a massive glowing slash that rips right through the giant's chest cavity. He sticks the superhero landing perfectly. But instead of finishing it off, he immediately screams for everyone to run for their lives. The army scrambles down the snowy pass while a fiery explosion completely obliterates the giant skull monster behind them. The squad finally catches their breath in the snow, completely traumatized. They complain that this mountain is absolute hell and way worse than any normal dungeon. But hey, at least their casualties are low, right? The surviving grunts are busy glazing their golden boy. They figure since he already packed up one Demon King, he is basically a god now. Our undercover elf slave is sweating bullets, starting to think this cocky hero might actually pull it off. But the welcoming committee has arrived. A massive blue orc chieftain and his squad block the path. The hero party squares up, ready for a fight. The golden boy smirks, calling them easy pickings. But our elf boy suddenly remembers the cryptic warning he got from his boss. Watch the snow. The realization hits him like a truck. The giant blue orc declares that none of them are making it to the tower, and somewhere our demon lord is smiling like an absolute menace. A deafening rumble echoes through the gorge. The elf completely loses his mind, screaming internally about how anyone is supposed to dodge this. Because it is not a monster attack. It is a massive mountain-leveling avalanche crashing right down on their heads. The elf spy screams for everyone to run for their lives as the massive avalanche crashes down on the party. Meanwhile, our boy is just chilling on his throne watching the absolute chaos unfold on his magical monitors. He gives a sinister smile and welcomes the heroes to his domain. He promises that this time around he is going to be the one hunting them down. And to cap it all off, we get a random holiday illustration of the dwarf blacksmith dressed up as a Christmas tree. Happy holidays, folks. Back at the base, our boy is chilling on his throne and checking his holographic monitors. He remembers warning his elf spy about 3 specific things before this whole operation started. First up is the snow. The orcs absolutely deliver on that front by triggering a massive avalanche that instantly sweeps away a huge chunk of the hero party. The legendary hero commander is forced to halt the march and set up camp to search for survivors, but the orc chieftain is already lurking in the shadows and plotting his next move. Because the second warning was to never let their guard down at night, the orcs start herding literal frost giants and ghouls straight into the human camp. The soldiers are forced to scramble out of their tents and prepare for a brutal midnight battle. The elf spy curses his demonic boss while fighting for his life in the snow. Meanwhile, the Demon King is grinning like an absolute menace. He knows this endless cycle of daytime avalanches and nighttime monster raids will completely break their spirits. And he is absolutely right. The hero is panting and completely losing his mind. His army's headcount has literally been cut in half just trying to climb the mountain. To make matters worse, they finally reach the summit only to find absolutely nothing. The guy starts screaming at the sky because common sense dictates a boss tower should be easy to spot. The remaining knights have officially had enough. One of the commanders straight up tells our golden boy that they are tapping out. The hero's journey is a total bust and they would rather keep their heads attached to their necks. Our hero can only click his tongue in bitter frustration as his massive army just walks away. 6 days into this frozen hellscape and the surviving 52 men finally spot the Demon King's tower hidden down in a basin. The grunts immediately get their confidence back. They hype themselves up to breach the front doors, assuming the first floor is just going to be packed with low-level fodder. But our boy is already grinning from ear to ear. He remembers his 3rd rule of survival. When the tower doors open, you better stand way back. The soldiers kick the doors wide open only to find a massive wall of dwarven mana cannons staring right back at them. Before they can even process the trap, a blinding beam of blue energy completely vaporizes the entrance. The system updates the head count from 52 down to a grand total of 1. Our demon lord watches the feed with a satisfied smirk, knowing he just isolated his main target. Down in the rubble, the legendary hero stands completely alone, panting heavily among the destroyed pillars. He lets out a massive scream of pure rage, completely losing his mind over how unfair this dungeon is. Right on cue, our undercover elf slave rushes in acting like a concerned party member. He asks if the hero is okay, and the guy admits he barely dodged the blast. The hero charges up his sword with some flashy blue lightning, hyping himself up. He killed the Demon King of Lust, so he figures this newbie boss is going to be an absolute cakewalk. He tells his elf buddy they should stick together and pushes forward, but as they clear the 2nd and 3rd floors, they find absolutely nothing. Just massive empty rooms echoing with their footsteps. Our boy starts sweating bullets. He knows how these dungeons work. If the lower levels are completely barren, it means the boss is saving all the nasty surprises for a massive ambush. He braces himself for the worst. But when they step onto the 4th floor, they are greeted by a literal Disney movie. It is a bright, sunny meadow filled with blooming flowers and fluttering butterflies. The hero is completely blue-screened. Suddenly, a pair of boots steps into view. A blonde girl in a full gothic outfit strikes a pose surrounded by cute little elemental spirits. She proudly announces herself as the Dark Spiritist, one of the 4 heavenly kings protecting the Demon King. The elf spy immediately suggests they dip, but the hero just stares in utter disbelief. He instantly recognizes her as the kidnapped Princess Ernan, leaving the royal hostage sweating as her edgy cosplay gets completely exposed. The princess goes absolutely feral, unleashing a massive multi-elemental barrage right at our so-called hero. The guy is completely flabbergasted. He instantly recognizes this as the highest rank spirit magic that only Princess Ernan can pull off, meaning she is definitely not under some cheap mind control. His brain practically short-circuits as he mentally reviews the absolute nightmare this raid has been. First they got jumped by mutant orcs, then they got buried in avalanches. Then came the relentless night ambushes. When they finally found the tower hidden in a random basin, they got blasted by first-floor mana cannons only to find the 2nd and 3rd floors completely empty. And to top off this cursed cake, the damsel in distress is now trying to nuke him. The sheer absurdity of it all finally makes the hero snap. He flashes a crazed grin and completely loses his mind, screaming at the top of his lungs about how the princess is actively trying to murder the guy who came to save her. But before he can throw a full temper tantrum, our boy Berger decides it is time to make his grand entrance. He drops from the sky and casually detonates a massive purple energy blast right in the hero's face. Stepping out of the smoke looking like an absolute menace, the Demon King smirks and says he can finally put a face to the annoyance. The hero immediately drops into a combat stance, crackling with blue lightning. He calls Berger a coward for sneaking up on him and mutters that he is going to need a lot more strength to survive this boss fight. The hero realizes he is completely outmatched and needs a quick power-up. He spots his elven ally glowing in the distance and immediately makes a mad dash right past our Demon King. He grabs the poor elf from behind and suggests they combine their strength, but instead of a team-up, he just activates a magic ring that instantly starts draining the life force right out of the guy's body. The elf collapses into the dirt while the so-called hero glows with a massive surge of stolen green energy. Our boy just watches this pathetic display unfold. The knight proudly explains that his shiny little ring is a forbidden artifact called the Elf Eater. It literally converts an elf's infinite vitality straight into raw mana. He steps right on his dying comrade's head while the elf weakly curses him out for being a massive hypocrite. But honestly, our Demon King is kind of into it. He loves how absolutely vile and lowly this human really is. He casually asks if taking off that little ring will just turn him back into a weakling. The knight bursts into a maniacal laugh and boasts that even the previous Demon King could not manage to pry this artifact off his finger. The knight is absolutely flabbergasted. One second he is gloating about his stolen power, and the next his hand is just gone. He didn't even sense a breeze, let alone an attack. Enter the top graduate, looking sharp and thoroughly unimpressed. He calls the human out for being loud and obnoxious before casually swatting him away like a pesky fly with a single swing. Our so-called hero hits the dirt, completely baffled that a mere high-ranking demon just styled on him while he was juiced up on a forbidden artifact, but before he can even process the massive L, a clawed hand clamps onto his shoulder. The knight's brain screams at him to dodge, but then he looks up and sees a literal purple dragon of pure demonic energy looming over him. Yeah, dodging is officially off the table. The Demon King grabs the terrified hero, flashing a wicked grin. He announces that playtime is over and it is time for a proper beatdown, dropping the knight's full name just to make sure he knows exactly who is ending his career. Our boy stands victorious over the legendary hero. He looks down at the absolute state of this supposed champion and drops a casual compliment on his durability. The hero is literally groaning in the dirt with his eyes rolling back into his skull, but hey, at least he is still breathing. The boss orders his squad to bind the scammer and toss him in the dungeon along with the rest of the trash outside. Meanwhile, one of his elderly subordinates is literally knocking on death's door and hallucinating the afterlife. But our boy is not about to lose a perfectly good meat shield today. He casually pulls out a glowing red spirit blossom and feeds it to the dying geezer. Instantly, the old man's eyes snap open. He sits up completely rejuvenated and glowing with green energy like he just drank 10 energy drinks. He is absolutely baffled by his sudden glow-up, while in the background our boy is just casually handing out more legendary loot to the princess, who happily accepts her shiny new toy. Next up on the to-do list is the dwarf. The boss hops on a hologram call and gives the hairy mechanic the green light to completely dismantle the tower defenses. The dwarf absolutely loses his mind with joy. With the chores delegated, our boy gives a slick two-finger salute and tells the crew to clean up their respective floors before strolling off into the sunset like an absolute Chad. The princess watches him walk away and notes that he still looks completely flawless after wiping the floor with a top-tier hero, but then she squints and realizes the boss might actually be running on fumes. Cut to our boy immediately collapsing onto his hands and knees the second he is out of sight. He is huffing and puffing for his life, realizing that playing it cool takes a massive toll on the stamina bar. Our boy Berger immediately hits the deck, panting like he just ran a marathon. He admits to himself that it was way too close for comfort. He realizes this is the true power of the 10 stars, the 10 strongest heroes on the continent, and the crazy part is that Hillen Cargill is actually considered one of the weakest among them. Berger reflects that he barely used any demonic energy points to buff himself up in this life, mostly because he is broke on points. He knows that if Hillen had rolled up in perfect condition, our Demon King would have been absolute toast. But because his relentless avalanche and monster raid strategy completely exhausted the hero and threw him into a blind panic, it created the perfect opening for Berger to land his all-out strike. Lying on the floor sweating but grinning like an absolute madman, Berger celebrates his flawless victory. He actually managed to alter his fate, something he never pulled off in his past life. Our boy is already plotting his grand revenge on the heroes who did him dirty in his past life. Meanwhile, the human world is having a complete meltdown. The heroes literally gave up because they couldn't even find his hidden tower. Investors are foaming at the mouth demanding refunds, while a sweaty spokesperson desperately tries to do damage control, claiming Hillen Cargill is still out there searching. News of this rogue Demon King spreads across the continent. The King of Hilderin is throwing a royal tantrum, threatening to execute Hillen if he does not bring back his daughter. And that buff dwarven princess is still screaming for her runaway blacksmith. The rumor mill goes into overdrive with people assuming Hillen is already dead. This plunges the entire world into deep sorrow. And since human despair is basically free real estate for our boy, his demonic energy points absolutely skyrocket to nearly 300,000. Over at the Heroes Guild, the top brass are grilling a surviving hero, demanding to know if this insane report is actually true. The guy sweats bullets and swears on his name that every single word is a fact. The Hero Council is still huffing pure copium. One of the glowing silhouettes points out that Hillen is a 10-star hero and cannot be taken down easily. They decide to wait 10 more days for an update, but if he does not show up by then, nearly 5,000 heroes are ready to launch a full-scale assault on the new Demon King. Down in the underground prison, our boy pays a visit to his new captive. He praises the hero's insane recovery speed. The chained-up warrior tells him to cut the small talk and get to the point. Our boy flashes a sinister smile and tells the guy to become his vassal. The hero is absolutely stunned. Our boy breaks it down for him. A hero's journey costs a massive amount of money. Food, security, gear, all of it is funded by investors. And if a hero fails, they end up buried in a mountain of debt. And this time around, all those investments were dumped into one single person. The captain of the party, Hillen Cargill. The realization hits the hero like a truck. Even if he manages to escape this dungeon, his reputation is ruined and he will spend the rest of his life running from debt collectors. The green-haired elf steps out of the shadows and admits he spilled the beans. The hero screams that the elf is a traitor. The elf fires back that the hero is a scammer who tried to drain his life force. Plus, he was working for the Demon King from day one. Our boy struts into the dungeon to gloat over his new prisoner. He tells the chained-up hero that his little raid failed because there has never been a Demon King who completely ignores the rules like him. But just to make sure the humans do not try any funny business, he pulls out a glowing purple orb. The hero stares at it like a confused dog. The boss explains this little toy is a mind control device. Once it goes down the hatch, it wraps right around the brain. If the hero even thinks about betraying him, his head pops like a balloon. He warns the guy that if his body rejects the orb, he will just kill him on the spot since there are plenty of other heroes to use anyway. The scammer panics and tries to bluff, screaming that a high-level hero like him is immune to mind control magic, so the orb will just vanish. But the elf spy immediately snitches. He points out that a hero can just turn off their mental defenses if they actually want to. The boss gives a wicked grin and tells the hero he heard the man. The hero screams in absolute terror as our boy grabs him by the jaw and forcefully shoves the glowing purple orb straight down his throat. The magic blasts right into his system. The elf asks what happens if the guy would rather just die than serve them. But the boss is not worried at all. He knows a greedy scumbag who treats his own comrades as disposable meat shields for a paycheck will never actually sacrifice himself. The hero drops to his knees as the dark energy completely takes over his body. He curses his luck as the system officially brands him as a vassal of the Demon King. With the legendary hero now completely under his thumb, our boy heads back up to the Grand Hall to figure out his next move. Back in the throne room, the glasses guy brings up a massive problem. Sure, the legendary hero is their puppet now, but the guy is drowning in 100,000 gold worth of debt. That kind of cash is basically a small country's GDP. He points out their little energy exchange only netted them $2,000, so how exactly are they supposed to pay off the hero's tab? Our boy just smirks and waits for a very specific message to drop. He brings up the Unison of Towers, an annual Demon King convention he completely ignored in his past life because he thought teaming up was cringe. But now, he realizes those boomer Demon Kings have been hoarding gold and treasure for decades. The advisor is about to pop a blood vessel at the thought of exchanging more energy points for cash, but he bites his tongue. He knows better than to doubt the boss now. Right on cue, a system notification dings in front of his face. It is an official invitation to the Unison of Towers. Our boy flashes a wicked grin. It is time to pack their bags and go scam some senior Demon Kings out of their retirement funds. The scene shifts to the Tower of Lies sitting pretty in the middle of a lake. Inside the Grand Chamber, a bunch of heavy hitters are already gathered around the table. But the party does not really start until our boy struts in. He casually remarks that even though he is right on time, they are all already here gossiping without him. The system officially introduces him as Bergedeus, the Demon King of Flames. A massive white wolf demon snarls his name. This is Draxon, the Demon King of Beasts, who our boy already put in his place. Next up, a cold blue-haired demon queen chimes in, noting that he is the talk of the town. She is Reyna, the Demon King of Winters. Then a giant one-eyed titan sneers at him, calling him a stuck-up brat who insulted their sacred standards. That is Uger, the Demon King of Indestructibility. Finally, a cheerful white-haired guy in a sharp suit warmly welcomes him. He is Jason, the Demon King of Lies and the host of this little get-together. Our boy just smiles mockingly and asks if these damn fools really formed an alliance. He asks if they are not ashamed to call themselves Demon Kings, but admits it is probably the right choice for this hellhole of a territory. The Titan Demon absolutely loses it. He stands up aggressively and screams at the newcomer, asking who he thinks he is to interfere with their affairs. The two immediately lock eyes and start leaking some serious killing intent, ready to throw down right then and there. But before things can get bloody, a pair of white-gloved hands clap together. The sound instantly disperses their murderous auras like it was nothing. The white-haired host just smiles and calmly reminds the Titan and our boy that they are here to talk about cooperation, so they should probably stop wasting precious time. The big guy is completely shook that the host just erased their killing intent without a drop of magic. He wonders if it is raw power or just a perk of the tower. He reluctantly parks his giant rear back in his seat with a huff. The suit guy smiles and thanks him for playing nice before officially kicking off the meeting and opening the floor for discussion. When no one immediately jumps in, the host offers to start things off. But the giant werewolf demon suddenly points a massive claw right at our boy and demands to know what happened to the legendary hero Hillen Cargill. Our guy just stares back silently, flashing a tiny bit of fang as he prepares his excuse. Meanwhile, down in the aide's reception room, the other assistants are grilling our boy's dark elf advisor about the exact same thing. The poor guy is sweating bullets as he sticks to the script, claiming the hero never even entered their tower. The other aides call cap on that, saying the hero should have spotted a giant tower from miles away. The dark elf just sighs and confirms that the wild rumors about their boss are actually true. We get a quick flashback showing our boy ordering his advisor to play dumb about the hero since they are currently using him as a brainwashed spy. Back in the present, the dark elf admits to himself that his boss's crazy plans actually worked out. But then he completely loses his mind and starts screaming at the top of his lungs. He rants that his boss is a stuck-up brat who never listens and instantly gets into trouble the second he looks away. The glasses guy finishes screaming his lungs out and realizes that venting about his boss actually feels amazing. The other aides totally relate. They all agree that every single demon king is a complete weirdo. Our boy's assistant finally calms down and has a moment of pure clarity. Meanwhile, back at the big kid table, the giant Cyclops is absolutely losing his mind. He refuses to believe that the legendary hero just got lost because the new guy hid his tower at the bottom of a mountain instead of the peak. Our horned protagonist just shrugs and says he can build his base wherever he wants. The white-haired suit guy chimes in with a fake smile. He reminds our boy that losing a tower means a dreadful end and mocks him for being the Academy valedictorian. Our protagonist just rests his chin on his hand and glares. He is already sick of this guy and his lies. The suit guy just laughs it off and agrees to drop the subject. The giant wolf demon barks that the Archduke will never allow this blatant disrespect. Our boy just calls the Archduke an old geezer and tells the dog to sit down. He knows that even if these guys suspect he is lying, they have zero way to actually verify it. Keeping them in the dark is way better than exposing his real setup. He reminds himself to stay focused on the real prize. He is only here to scam these fools out of 100,000 gold. So instead of arguing, he just sits back and lets the others yap so he can gather intel. The Ice Queen suddenly shoots our boy a look and tells him to follow her outside. Berger is a little caught off guard but trails behind her out to the 13th floor balcony. She drops the cold act and admits that she actually agrees with some of his points. This completely throws Berger for a loop since he definitely does not remember her being this chill in his past life. She clarifies that she still lives by the traditional standards but thinks they need to be way more flexible in a brutal zone like Aran. Berger hits her with a smirk and asks what she thinks of him now. The Ice Queen admits he is not too bad and actually looks a lot better than she expected. She hands over a magical burner phone and tells him to hit her up for advice anytime as long as he does not trash talk the standards to her face. As she struts away, she admits to herself that she cannot read this guy at all, but he is definitely a massive upgrade from the other two bozos inside. Berger watches her head back inside and stares down at the glowing orb. He knows he cannot fully trust her just yet, but bagging a secret ally this early is a massive W for his master plan. Meanwhile, back at the first floor of our boy's tower, the kidnapped princess is having the time of her life. She skips over to the dwarf with a fresh tray of cookies, bragging about how she used her genius elemental powers as a makeshift oven. The dwarf politely accepts a cookie, fully preparing himself to choke down some burnt garbage just to be nice to the spoiled royal. He takes a massive bite and his eyes practically bulge out of his skull. The flavor is so immaculate that his soul literally ascends to a naked dwarven heaven. He begs to know what kind of culinary witchcraft she just pulled off. The princess smugly reveals she casually tossed some ultra-rare spirit blossoms into the dough. The dwarf starts sweating bullets, realizing he just ate a priceless magical artifact that is currently supercharging his mana veins. The princess just giggles and asks if their elf spy would like some too, before blushing hard and wondering if the demon king himself would want a bite. Cutting back to the summit, our horned protagonist struts back into the main hall to find it completely empty except for the suit guy. The white-haired demon casually mentions that the meeting is over, but he stuck around because he knows a little secret. He knows our boy is desperate for human cash. The white-haired suit guy leans in with a creepy smile and asks our horned protagonist if he wants to stick around for some tea. He clasps his gloved hands together and drops an absolute bombshell. He knows our boy is desperate for human cash. Our boy's eye twitches in pure shock. He glares back with glowing red eyes and demands to know what the hell he means by that. Internally, he is completely freaking out, trying to figure out who leaked his master plan. We kick things off with the white-haired merchant dropping a massive bomb. He flashes a smug grin and casually mentions he knows exactly what our boy is desperate for: human cash. Our demon king's eyes practically bulge out of his skull. He glares daggers at the guy and demands to know what the hell he is talking about. But the merchant just chuckles and traces a name on the table with dark magic: Draxon. Yeah, he knows all about that little side hustle. He tells our boy to drop the act and cut straight to the chase. He He wants to make a deal. He is talking cold, hard human currency in exchange for demonic energy points. Our boy narrows his eyes trying to figure out the angle here, but the white-haired guy just bursts into laughter and swears he is totally on his side. Cut back to the tower where a massive pile of loot gets dumped right on the floor. Our boy casually tells his stressed-out advisor to take 100 grand from the stash. The poor elf looks like he is about to have a heart attack. But our Demon King is already 10 steps ahead. He knows if the merchant traces this money, he could easily figure out their entire operation and turn them into his personal puppets. So they have to play this incredibly safe. To launder the cash, he reveals his new squad of brainwashed Black Knights. He points out the guy in the middle is actually a big shot from the Golden Moon Merchant Guild. The advisor is absolutely speechless as our boy casually mentions he picked up that little fun fact while forcing them into a magical contract. The rest of the captive party is absolutely humiliated. Bound by a forced black magic contract, they silently beg their glorious leader to save them. But our boy Hillen is just relieved he gets to keep his day job. He immediately offers the Demon King a handshake and calls him a business partner. His former comrades are absolutely traumatized by the sellout. Berger is highly offended by the word partner. He squeezes his mind control orb and sends a massive shockwave of pure agony straight into the hero's brain. As Hillen screams on the floor, our Dark Lord coldly clarifies their relationship. They are not partners. Hillen's is a slave and Berger is the master. The demonic subordinates absolutely love to see it. Berger tells the groveling hero to get up and get moving since he doesn't actually need his sincere loyalty anyway. Suddenly, the blonde princess approaches the sweating hero and hands him a purple letter. She wants him to deliver it to the fourth princess of the Hilderin Kingdom. Hillen is shocked and asks why she is siding with her kidnapper. She casually admits she has zero intention of going back home and hints at a dark royal family secret. Hillen remembers the nasty rumors about the kingdom and suddenly her treason makes total sense. With his new orders locked in, the scene shifts back outside the snowy tower. Back at the tower, our boy is chilling on his throne while his advisor questions if their new hero pet will actually follow orders. Berger knows the guy is not just a greedy scumbag. Sure, he loves cash, but what he really craves is the spotlight. He is a total clout chaser. And with this handy-dandy mind control orb, Berger plans to turn that desperation for fame into the ultimate inside job. His advisor is taking notes like a total fanboy, realizing he needs to step up his game. Suddenly, a knock interrupts their evil plotting. It is the kidnapped princess casually waltzing in with a tray of freshly baked cookies and her little spirit buddies. Berger tells her she is getting way too comfortable and threatens her with a month in the dungeon if her baking skills are trash. He takes a bite and is instantly hit with a flavor explosion that rocks his demonic core. The princess is just standing there vibrating with excitement, waiting for him to pass out from the mana overload just like their dwarf buddy did. Our demon boy grips his throne for dear life. He is sweating bullets and fighting for his absolute life against a baked good. The blonde princess is genuinely flabbergasted that he actually swallowed it. He plays it off like a champ, calling it a dangerous flavor, and she just beams with pride, assuming he immediately noticed her secret spirit blossom ingredient. Wiping the cold sweat from his brow, he realizes this little culinary assassination attempt was actually a bribe. He asks what she wants in return for the so-called reward, and she hits him with the most suspicious, cheeky giggle known to mankind. Our guy is just left staring blankly, wondering what kind of headache she is about to drop on him. Meanwhile, the brainwashed hero and his surviving party get a VIP escort down the mountain from our giant blue orc buddy. Once they hit the fortress city, they immediately hop into a teleportation circle straight for the kingdom, leaving our undercover elf spy behind to handle his own business. And his business involves a little bit of workplace discipline at the mercenary headquarters. He stands over his newly hired squad of cowards, absolutely fuming that they ditched him at the first sign of snow. The bruised-up merc cries that they are just mid-tier scrubs and had to run to survive the deadly mountains. But our elf is not hearing any of these excuses and delivers a glowing green right hook to remind them who the captain is. Before he can finish rearranging his subordinate's face, he gets interrupted. A shiny new rookie hero struts through the door in full silver armor, looking for a piece of the action. Back at the mercenary guild, our elf spy is busy disciplining his men for ditching him during the blizzard. The bruised leader tries to laugh it off and mentions a rookie hero paid their bar tabs, but our boy just clocks him with a glowing green fist and tells him to shut up. He turns to the blonde knight who bought the drinks and politely thanks her before dropping the bomb that the hero expedition is already over. She is absolutely flabbergasted and demands the full tea on how they failed, so he agrees to spill exactly as much as his demonic boss allowed. After a quick recap of the disaster, the knight is left in pure disbelief that the tower was not just sitting at the summit waiting for them. Realizing there is no reason to stick around, she drops a few gold coins on the table as thanks and heads for the exit. The greedy mercenary immediately tries to swipe the cash while mocking her naive rookie vibes, but our elf slaps his hand away. Outside the tavern, the knight marches down the street, completely unaware of the shady figures tailing her. Our spy watches the whole procession from the doorway, and his sharp eyes immediately catch the suspicious squad moving in formation right behind her. He follows them to a deserted alleyway where the armored goons completely box the girl in. They call her Your Highness and demand she return home to her waiting fiancé, but our runaway princess flat out refuses because she wants to live her best life as a hero. Our green-haired spy peeks around the corner with his face scrambling mask fully active. He realizes this rookie hero is actually a runaway princess dodging her royal duties. Deciding he does not get paid enough to deal with royal family drama, he turns to dip out. But a cold blade suddenly presses against his neck. The royal guards catch him lacking and demand to know why he is stalking them with suspicious magic. Our boy starts sweating bullets. If they confiscate his gear, they will instantly realize it is a demonic artifact and expose him as the Demon King's undercover vassal. The knight glares through his visor and accuses him of being a forced spy. Our elf swallows hard, realizing he just fumbled the bag and stepped right into a massive pile of trouble. An explosion rocks the corridor as our undercover elf makes a desperate break for it. But the royal guards are already on his tail. One leaps down to deliver a flaming sword strike, while another yells for Her Highness to fall back. Our boy realizes he is in a massive bind. As the only elf in the city, using his powers will instantly blow his cover. But with a flaming blade inches from his face and the guards forming a defensive wall around the princess, he decides surviving is slightly more important than staying stealthy. Just as he is about to unleash his magic, a familiar voice cuts through the chaos. A massive surge of dark purple energy erupts, completely deflecting the guards' attack and leaving the elf stunned as his boss, the Demon King himself, descends from the sky looking like an absolute menace. The elf immediately starts whining about his near-death experience, but our boy just rolls his eyes and tells him to walk it off. Meanwhile, the human knights are absolutely losing their minds, assuming this terrifying Demon King has shown up specifically to kidnap their precious princess. Our boy is genuinely surprised to learn there is even a princess here. The elf demands to know why he showed up, and the knights scream that he is obviously lying about just passing through. Our boy sighs and tells the terrified knights he is literally just here running an errand. A quick flashback reveals exactly what that errand is. Back at the tower, our Demon King asks his favorite hostage what she wants this time. The blonde cheerfully demands a batch of Seniel powder, which is a super rare supplement used for spirit contracts. Centuries ago, an elf defected to a human kingdom and the king ordered her to cook up a cheat code so humans could properly form contracts with spirits. The result was this glowing green concoction. Our guy immediately calls Cap. With her insane talent, she definitely does not need performance-enhancing drugs. The princess hits him with a fake cough and claims the tower is just too low on mana for her poor little spirits. He sees right through the act and asks if she is trying to bag a high-ranking spirit. She tries to play dumb, but her sweating gives it away. In his past life, this girl managed to contract a massive high-tier spirit at age 27, and the entire continent lost their minds over it. But now she is trying to pull it off 7 whole years early. He wonders if locking her in his dungeon actually gave her a massive buff. He snags a chocolate chip cookie from her tray and decides he really does not care as long as it makes his base stronger. Snapping back to the present, our Demon King charges up a blast of dark magic and admits he has his own circumstances to deal with right now. The blonde knight is absolutely paralyzed with fear as the winged menace glares down at her. But before he can wipe the floor with her, the girl suddenly erupts in a blinding green aura as her loyal guards scream for her to fall back. The blonde knight isn't going down without a fight. She taps into her royal bloodline and unleashes her family's ultimate sword technique, the Crescent Moon Slash, sending a massive wave of green aura straight at our boy. You see, as a low-ranking princess, she was basically treated like bargain bin royalty and sold off to marry some crusty old pervert king. Deciding that being a sugar baby to a fossil was absolutely not the vibe, she picked up a sword and trained until her hands bled. She figures if she can just pack up a literal Demon King right here and now, she will finally be recognized as a legit hero. Then she can ditch her dad's arranged marriage garbage and choose her own husband. Unfortunately for her, she is fighting the main character. Berger literally just reaches out and crushes her ultimate attack with his bare hand like it is a stale potato chip. He even gives her a condescending little smile and compliments her aura, leaving the princess completely flabbergasted. To really drive the point home, our boy flexes his dark magic, summoning a massive array of terrifying red glyphs in the sky. The princess freezes in absolute terror as she finally realizes the sheer, overwhelming gap in their power, staring up at a true Demon King. Our boy flashes a wicked grin. He realizes this 2-for-1 special is exactly what he needs. The blonde knight begs him to wait. Her guards rush in to play hero. But they are way too late. A massive blast of dark energy flattens the entire street. The surviving guards scramble through the rubble. They cough up black smoke and wonder if the legendary Demon King of the Urgus Mountains just paid them a visit. Spoiler alert, he absolutely did. Back at his snowy fortress, our boy dumps the unconscious knight in the underground prison. He introduces his new catch to Ernan. He tells her to patch the newbie up since she might be useful later. Ernan is just confused why he is suddenly collecting princesses like trading cards. He casually explains that he needs to kidnap royals periodically to farm demonic energy points. But when Ernan asks what those points actually are, our boy freezes in pure panic. He realizes he just casually leaked top-secret system mechanics to his own hostage. Our boy quickly dips out of the dungeon before he can leak any more classified villain intel to his hostages. Meanwhile, news of his latest stunt kidnapping the Jespine Empire's 9th princess spreads across the continent like wildfire. Over at the Heroes Guild headquarters, the legendary Hillen Cargill stands before a council of glowing Zoom call silhouettes. He puts on his best sad puppy face and admits he completely failed to find the Demon King's tower, offering to take full responsibility. But the council waves it off. They can't exactly punish their top guy, or no one else would ever volunteer for these suicide missions. They bring up the elephant in the room. The Jespine Empire is throwing a fit over their missing princess and demanding a massive crusade. Since Hillen actually survived the snowy mountains, they ask for his 2 cents. Our brainwashed hero immediately starts doing his master's bidding, suggesting they hold off on a full-scale invasion. He argues they should just send a small recon unit first. He plays right into their egos, claiming that a truly strong Demon King wouldn't need to hide in the middle of nowhere. The Boomer Council completely eats it up. They agree that this new guy must be a total coward who ignores the sacred standards because he is too weak to fight them head-on. The head honcho with the glowing red eye takes the bait, hook, line, and sinker. He officially postpones the all-out assault, buying our boy all the time he needs to build up his defenses. Hillen gives a crisp salute, totally nailing his role as the ultimate inside man. Walking out of the meeting, our corrupted hero immediately dials up his new boss. He gives the Demon King the full rundown on the guild's delayed assault, and our boy tells him to keep up the good work. Hanging up the call, our Dark Lord wipes a bead of sweat from his forehead. He realizes that turning the legendary hero into his personal lapdog was the greatest play he could have made. With both his elf spy and his new vassal running interference on the outside, he can easily stall any major crusades from launching. Plus, his passive income is looking absolutely stacked. He has been hoarding kidnapped princesses to farm demonic energy points, and he even plans to brainwash his newest blonde captive into a frontline fighter. Add in his enslaved dwarf tricking out the tower defenses and his loyal orc chieftain expanding their territory, and things are looking up. Once his first captive princess finally contracts a high-ranking spirit, his base will be completely impenetrable to any standard hero party. And only then can he finally step out of the shadows and focus on his true goal: hunting down the smug red-caped bastard who decapitated him in his past life and serving him a massive plate of karma. But to get his princess to that overpowered state, he needs to secure that rare spirit powder. He stares down at his next destination, which happens to be a massive domed metropolis overflowing with top-tier mages and heroes. Our boy instantly starts sweating bullets, realizing that pulling off a stealth heist in the Magitech city is going to be an absolute nightmare. The scene shifts to the glowing Magitech city of Amur. But instead of hitting up the high-end boutiques, our boy Berger ducks into a rundown shack on the outskirts of the magic market. Inside, the sketchy shopkeeper is busy complaining to his newspaper about the useless hero guild. Berger interrupts his rant to ask for some senile powder. Since this kingdom is an absolute hotspot for high-level heroes and mages, our Demon King had to pick the most pathetic empty store possible to keep his dark energy off the radar. The merchant immediately shifts into salesman mode and hypes up a special offer of 2 purple bottles for a single gold coin. Berger is instantly suspicious since real senile powder is supposed to be green. But the scammer leans in and whispers that this is a highly confidential new formula straight from the mage's tower. This greasy dude thinks he has Berger cornered, knowing our boy cannot exactly go shopping at the premium stores. Berger instantly realizes he is being played for a fool and seriously debates just snapping the guy's neck right then and there. Before he can commit a casual homicide, the shop bell chimes. A new pair of customers strolls in, complaining about the shabby aesthetic. Berger freezes in absolute shock as he recognizes the muscular red pigtails of the dwarven Princess Louise Werft and her armored companion. Our boy is sweating bullets right now. Why? Because the absolute last person he wanted to run into just walked through the door. It is none other than the muscle-bound dwarven Princess Louise Werft. Luckily, she does not recognize him in his little disguise. The shopkeeper immediately tries his signature scam on the newcomers. He claims he has a super rare medical condition where his memory only works if people buy his overpriced junk. The dwarf companion is absolutely disgusted, but Louise does not play games. She instantly whips out a dagger and presses it right against the scammer's throat. The shopkeeper starts sweating buckets and begs them to buy something just so she will put the shiny metal away. Surprisingly, Louise actually finds this hilarious and bursts out laughing. She tells him to show her his best wares. The absolute madman of a shopkeeper then turns around and pitches the exact same fake purple powder to her for 3 gold. Our Demon King is just standing there completely bewildered by the sheer audacity of this guy. Louise happily tosses the coins on the counter and asks if any dwarves have passed through recently. The scammer happily points them toward a famous blacksmith shop in the central square. Louise gives a quick apology to our boy for cutting in line and marches right out the door to continue her manhunt. Berger is honestly impressed by the shopkeeper's massive guts. The scammer just grins and brags that he knew she was a rich noble who would easily cough up the cash without actually stabbing him. The scammer tries to hustle our boy for another 10 gold just to learn his business secrets. Berger actually respects the grind and tells the guy to go work for his newly acquired Golden Moon Merchant Guild. But the shopkeeper scoffs. He says that place is going bankrupt and he is destined for absolute greatness. Berger just smirks and drops a massive reality check. He reveals that the angry customer he just scammed was none other than Luis Werft. You know, the Dwarven Kingdom's crazy hound. The shopkeeper shatters a potion in pure terror as Berger slides a single gold coin across the counter. He offers him a measly monthly salary to join his guild or face the wrath of the punk princess. The guy starts begging for his life, but then he hits Berger with a sinister grin. He throws a bag of coins and tells our boy to get lost. He completely refuses to submit to some random cloaked dude. Bear just shrugs and walks out the door, but as he leaves, the fiery silhouette of a very pissed-off Luis appears right behind him. The scammer is left staring death straight in the face. Our boy casually strolls away from the impending murder scene. He looks at a bottle of actual green seniel powder he bought elsewhere and shakes his head at the scammer's absolute audacity. Our boy steps outside and bumps right back into the pigtail menace. She cheerfully announces she got her refund, but when he asks about the shopkeeper, her face instantly morphs into a sleep paralysis demon. She complains she could only give the guy a light beating due to international laws, but she really wanted to rip his heart out. The dark mage just sweats, realizing this girl has absolutely zero chill. But that word heart sparks a genius idea in our demon king's brain. He casually asks if they happen to be looking for a blacksmith named Loger. The princess instantly locks on and demands coordinates. He pulls out a necklace he totally did not steal and spins a sob story about finding the dwarf starving in the Ormouth forest 2 months ago. The muscle princess starts vibrating with pure unadulterated rage. He tells her to take a breath, and she actually hands him a premium dwarven badge as thanks, telling him to keep an eye out. As our boy dips, the princess flashes a psychotic grin and orders her minion to call her dad for backup because she is going full Terminator on Loger. Walking away, our guy realizes he has been so caught up in tower defense that he forgot a major lore event. Right about now, the Beast Demon King Draxon is supposed to absorb a legendary summoning beast's heart to get ridiculously overpowered. So his master plan is to send the crazy dwarf princess straight to Draxon's front door to start a massive turf war, leaving the legendary heart wide open for him to snatch. Our boy calculates his odds and realizes fighting the crazy dwarf princess head-on while she is fully geared up would be a massive headache. Even with his current power, it would be a total stalemate or a super narrow win at best. He needs a better plan to level up fast. So he decides to play some 4-dimensional chess. He is going to send the raging princess straight to Ormouth, right to the front door of the Beast Tower. He plans to let the crazy hound Louise and the demon king of Beast Draxon tear each other to absolute shreds. And while those two meatheads are busy destroying each other, our demon king is going to swoop in and steal the ultra-rare summoning beast heart right out from under them. Fusing his tower with that stolen dwarven tech unlocks 2 massive upgrades. First up is remote access, letting our boy manage his dungeon from literally anywhere. The second is a magical mailbox that lets him instantly transfer items back to base. Standing on a random rooftop miles away, the Demon King tests it out by pinging his dark elf advisor. He drops 10 bottles of top-grade seniel powder straight into the system. Back at the tower, the kidnapped princess is absolutely floored, wondering if he raided an entire kingdom just to get her these high-tier spirit contracting materials. Meanwhile, the other captive princess is stuck on the 4th floor getting a crash course in combat. She screams that she is going to make them regret training her, but the dark elf effortlessly blocks her strike and tells her to actually land a hit before talking trash. Next on the remote delivery list is a massive hellforge for his captive dwarven blacksmith. The system charges him 10,000 points for the drop, but it is worth every penny. The dwarf completely loses his mind over the living cooler and the insane furnace, instantly swearing his absolute loyalty to the Demon King while practically drooling over the new toys. With his base fully automated and his hostages happily working themselves to the bone, our boy casually checks in on his new orc army. Our boy checks his system notifications and sees his orc army has unified 3 tribes and doubled their numbers. They are now strong enough to hunt most monsters in the mountains. He hops on a holo call with his glasses-wearing subordinate who promises to hold down the fort. Our Demon King dashes through the streets, realizing how insanely convenient it is to manage his dungeon remotely without having to actually be there. Next on the agenda is checking in with his brainwashed hero vassal. The timing is perfect as the hero reports that they have completely taken over the Golden Moon Merchant Guild. He explains that since he is one of the continent's legendary 10 stars, his backing was all it took for the guild leader to hand the reins over to his son. Now the guild is being run by their captive merchant, along with some black knights and mages. With the funding secured, our boy gives his next order. He tells the hero to contact their elf spy and tell him to use the guild's endless cash flow to buy up literally every single elf slave on the continent. The hero is absolutely stunned by this massive flex, but our Demon King is not done yet. He adds that he is sending a special con man to work for the guild with a totally sinister grin on his face. That con man is none other than the shady shopkeeper who tried to scam him earlier. The guy is currently hiding in a corner, absolutely losing his mind with terror as he listens in. Our boy knows exactly who he is and makes it clear that if he does not show up to work, he is going to have a very bad time. The poor scammer is left gagging himself to keep from screaming as he cries his eyes out. Meanwhile, in a busted-up room somewhere else, a magical delivery plops down out of nowhere. The scene cuts to a sprawling city where a voice screams out in absolute disbelief asking if they really want to buy up all of his people. Back at the training grounds, the elf captain watches his newly acquired mercenary squad practice. He is having a massive internal crisis. Sure, saving his people from slavery is a major win, but dragging them into the literal Demon King's army feels like a massive monkey paw situation. Meanwhile, his squad is completely lost. The blue-haired rookie asks the vice captain why they are suddenly learning elf swordsmanship. The vice captain has absolutely no clue and just blames the boss. Seeing their new captain spacing out the squad decides this is the perfect time to dip, and they literally start tiptoeing away. But the elf snaps out of it. He rationalizes that serving a demonic overlord is still a massive upgrade from dying as human slaves. He channels his green magic and the fleeing mercenaries immediately realize they messed up. Glowing green vines erupt from the ground and completely wrap up the vice captain. The rest of the squad gets violently dragged back by the magical weeds while screaming about their terrible luck. Right in the middle of this disciplinary action, a holographic call pops up from an ally. The guy asks about the screaming, but the elf completely brushes it off and asks for an update on their target. The ally reports that the target is apparently heading out to look for treasure. The scene then shifts to the lush and dangerous Ormuth Rainforest Kingdom. Meanwhile, over in the Ormuth Rainforest region, the dwarven princess is absolutely losing her mind. Her soldiers report that the local kingdom is ordering them to pack up and leave immediately, but she refuses to budge until she finds her runaway blacksmith. Spotting the distant Beast Mountain, she decides that has to be his hiding spot. Her guards panic and warn her that they are staring straight into the Beast Demon King's territory, but our muscle mommy just flashes a manic grin. She knows nobody would dare touch a dwarven royal. 200 years ago, some idiot demon king messed with a dwarf prince and got his entire faction wiped off the map in a single subjugation, so she is basically walking around with diplomatic immunity. Ignoring her advisor's completely valid concerns, she orders her men to march forward, threatening to literally rip their heads off if they disobey. Cut over to the Beast Demon King's vine-covered tower, where a messenger bursts in screaming about the crazy dwarf princess marching straight for their front door. The giant werewolf absolutely panics, sweating bullets as he wonders if she somehow found out about his secret stash. He is currently hiding the heart of a summoning beast to absorb its pure mana and become the strongest boss on the block. Terrified of triggering a global war, he orders his monster squad to intercept the dwarves, but strictly forbids them from actually hurting the princess. The cat-eared subordinate sweats bullets. Trying to stop a raging dwarf without leaving a scratch is basically a suicide mission. The Beast King completely loses his mind at the hesitation. Meanwhile, our muscle mommy princess is suddenly blocked by a guy in shiny gold armor. This is Max Ormuth. He is the second prince of the Ormuth Kingdom, and he is currently looking down on her from a tree branch. He smugly warns her that wandering into demon territory is a great way to get herself killed. Louise does not care and screams at him to move out of the way so she can find her runaway blacksmith. Max just laughs in her face and calls dwarves completely brain dead. He gives her a quick history lesson. 200 years ago, the Jespan Empire got filthy rich by selling weapons to heroes during a massive war. Max plans to recreate that exact same economic boom by murdering Louise right here and framing the Beast King for it. Louise realizes she just walked right into a massive political trap. Max screams that it is finally his kingdom's turn to secure the bag. He orders his hidden soldiers to drop from the trees and slaughter the entire dwarven squad. The prince dives straight down with a psychotic grin, ready to impale them all. The dwarf guards immediately form a tight shield wall around their princess to block the ambush. But Louise is not about to just sit there and take it. She ignites her massive battle axe and charges straight into the front line, ready to chop some royal heads. Back at the Beast Demon King's camp, his top dog is having an absolute meltdown. He realizes these cowardly human monkeys are trying to assassinate the dwarf princess right on their front lawn, just to frame his boss for the murder. Knowing a dead dwarf royal means a continent-wide war that would wipe them off the map, he frantically orders his entire monster pack to sprint down the mountain and save the angry little royal at all costs. Down in the forest, the ambush is already a total bloodbath. The human kingdom's elite assassins catch the dwarven squad completely off guard, slicing through their heavy armor like butter. Realizing they are getting absolutely cooked in the open, the surviving dwarves quickly lock their shields together to form a desperate defensive wall. The royal guards beg their princess to fall back, warning her that the terrain is basically a death trap and they have zero chance in a head-on fight. But our hot-headed pigtail princess is not exactly the retreating type. She completely loses her mind, screaming that she will just wipe the floor with all of them herself, while her panicked guards literally have to hold her back behind the barricade. The human prince just laughs at their pathetic turtle formation and prepares to blast the dwarves into next week. But right before he can drop the nuke, a suffocating wave of dark purple energy floods the forest. The prince freezes in a cold sweat, assuming the Beast Demon King's backup has already arrived, but he is dead wrong. Instead of a furry rescue squad, a massive hand made of pure demonic aura materializes out of thin air and reaches right for him. Our boy Berger has officially entered the chat. Max and the dwarf princess freeze up when they realize this massive demonic energy isn't coming from some furry beast. It is our boy Berger crashing the party. He steps out of the shadows dripping in purple aura and rocking a high-tech facial recognition jamming mask to keep his identity strictly on the down low. He casually announces that the prince is about to catch a one-way ticket to the afterlife. The prince charges in with his men, but his confidence instantly evaporates into pure panic, because the dwarf princess is absolutely tearing through his squad like a fiery blender. She is furious that they dare look away from her while she is right there. The prince is completely baffled by how fast this supposedly slow dwarf is moving. He realizes he has to put down this crazy princess before she wipes out his entire crew. But before he can even twitch a muscle, our boy Berger casually drops a massive purple demonic bind right on top of him. The prince is left completely paralyzed and sweating bullets, wondering how he got suppressed so easily. And with the prince served up on a silver platter, Louise comes crashing down like a fiery meteor. She screams his title as she delivers an absolutely devastating axe strike. With the prince flattened, the remaining beastmen are left totally confused as Berger just dips out. They immediately turn all their rage onto the dwarf princess, screaming for her blood to avenge their fallen leader. The dwarf princess is absolutely livid. The beastmen are crying about her pack watching their prince, but she screams that they literally tried to jump her first. Her loyal dwarven squad immediately forms a shield wall and readies their crossbows to back up their royal VIP. Watching the explosive chaos unfold from a safe distance, our boy is grinning from ear to ear. He knows this massive brawl will keep the angry dwarf busy and alive. Now he just needs the local boss to take the bait. He locks his eyes on the distant tower of beasts ready for phase 2. Over at the tower, a massive purple aura flares up. The giant white werewolf boss and his cat-eared aide instantly sense the massive spike in demonic energy. The big dog realizes another demon king just dropped an elite unit right into his backyard, and the timing is way too sus. A random demon showing up the exact second the dwarves and humans start a turf war? He knows a setup when he sees one. He immediately rushes to the battlefield to interrogate his pack. He demands to know where the intruding demon went, but his subordinate just stammers out an apology. By the time they arrived, the dwarf princess was already surrounded by the human soldiers and handling business all by herself. The werewolf king is left completely stunned, trying to process how this entire situation just went completely off the rails. The werewolf scouts report back to their boss, explaining that they tried to save the dwarf princess, but she basically turned the battlefield into her own personal meat grinder. Draxon is absolutely furious at this massive screw-up and starts beating the crap out of his own men. One of the wolves asks what they should do with the surviving Ormuth warriors. Draxon glares at the trembling humans. He really wants to pack them up for the free demonic energy points, but he knows if he does, their kingdom will blame him for the prince's death and throw a massive tantrum. So he decides to let them live just so they can testify and clear his name. Then he turns his anger back to his squad, grabbing one by the face and calling them pathetic for losing track of the demon intruder. Realizing his men are completely useless against a stealth specialist, Draxon decides to handle it himself and activates his ultrasensory amplification technique. His vision shifts and he immediately spots the glowing red traces left behind by the unfamiliar demon. Following the trail, Draxon realizes the sneaky bastard went straight after the dwarf princess and glares out toward the distant mountain peak. He asks his men which direction the princess ran off to, but before they can even point the way, a massive demonic claw suddenly slashes down at him. Draxon realizes a second too late that he is dealing with another demon king. The werewolf commander finally puts two and two together. That whole messy brawl with the dwarf princess was just a giant distraction to pull him away from the real prize. He realizes the invading demon king is actually gunning for the volcano. Deep inside the fiery crater, a bunch of bear guards are busy doing some secret construction to drain the lava. But our boy Berger just casually drops right into the danger zone. He can already feel the massive aura of the summoning beast radiating from below. The lava is literally a non-issue for him since his black flame demonic dragon scales make him basically fireproof. Suddenly a massive tiger beast tries to jump him. Berger easily catches the oversized kitty mid-air. The beast instantly realizes he just picked a fight with a demon and starts begging for his life. But Berger is completely out of chill and just drops the screaming furball straight into the boiling magma. Hovering over the fiery pit, our guy thinks back to his past life when that meathead Draxon absorbed the heart of this exact beast to get his insane regeneration. Berger always wondered what kind of overpowered creature it was. Turns out it is a literal god-tier fiery phoenix just waiting to be claimed. As our boy hovers over the molten rock, he takes a trip down memory lane to his academy days. He remembers reading up on some multiversal lore about phoenixes. These fiery birds are not just your average oversized pigeons. They are literal gods of destruction in their own dimensions, and any demon king lucky enough to slurp one up basically gets a VIP pass to the demonic Hall of Fame. So our guy takes a swan dive straight into the spicy hot tub. He sends a quick mental thank you note to the Beast King for absorbing this thing in the previous timeline, basically giving him the cheat code to find it now. He flexes his black flame demonic dragon scales, turning his hand into a glowing claw, and prepares to claim his fiery prize. Meanwhile, the oversized furball is hauling ass through the forest. He is furious, trying to figure out who the hell managed to sniff out his secret stash. He lands outside his volcano base, absolutely fuming. His bear guards barely get a word out before he just starts tossing them around like rag dolls. Talk about a toxic workplace. He quickly rules out his fellow demon kings. The Ice Queen would melt, and the Titan is way too dumb for a heist like this. Realizing it has to be our boy, he frantically barks at his battered guards, demanding to know if his precious summoning beast is safe. But when he looks down into the pit, he gets the shock of a lifetime. The Beast King finally realizes some absolute madman is trying to steal his prized phoenix. He frantically dives into the volcano to stop the heist, but he is way too late. A blinding explosion of pure fiery energy erupts from the magma chamber and reflects in the furious werewolf's eyes. The sheer scale of the blast sends a massive pillar of light into the sky that can be seen for miles. Everyone from random travelers to our blood-soaked dwarf princess stops dead in their tracks to stare at the anomaly. Even our undercover elf and the captive heroes back at the tower can feel the insane surge of power radiating across the continent. Completely misreading the situation, the Beast King screams out in absolute rage and curses the Demon King of Lies for orchestrating this massive theft. Meanwhile, our boy is busy bathing in the glorious flames of a literal god-tier phoenix. He is about to absorb its absurd regeneration powers and become completely unkillable. Our boy wakes up in the middle of a lush forest, completely dazed. He remembers trying to stash the stolen phoenix corpse into his space inventory, but the beast's raw mana just straight up absorbed into his body instead. The resulting volcanic eruption blasted him miles away, but as he sits up he realizes something is seriously wrong. He is a literal demon king, so why on earth is he having a full-blown Disney princess moment with the local wildlife? He tells the woodland critters to kick rocks. Checking his reflection in the river, he is absolutely stunned by his new look. Meanwhile, over at the Ormuth Palace, the dwarven Princess Louise is kneeling before the throne. She formally thanks the king for his son's sacrifice, claiming the prince bravely saved them from the Beast Demon King's forces. The king slams his fist down in absolute grief-stricken rage. He might spout some noble nonsense about his son dying an honorable warrior's death, but he is secretly plotting a massive hero expedition for pure revenge. Back in the forest, our boy's communicator starts beeping. His brainwashed hero vassal Hillen calls in with an urgent report, but immediately pauses in sheer confusion, asking who the heck he is even talking to. Our boy wakes up looking like a literal Disney princess with woodland critters swarming him. But playtime is over because his brainwashed vassal rings him up with some spicy news. The King of Ormuth is throwing a massive tantrum and organizing a full-scale hero raid on the Beast Demon King. And they are not messing around. They are sending a top-tier fire mage and a ridiculously buff martial arts master to lead a 500-man army. 200 of those guys are straight-up heroes. Their only goal is to wipe the Beast Demon King off the map. Bergie stands there in his makeshift petting zoo and does some quick math. If they really wanted the big dog dead, they would send way more heavy hitters. He realizes the humans are just playing politics. To them, a Demon King tower is basically an infinite money glitch. It is a giant loot box full of rare materials and demon parts that sell for crazy high prices. The last thing these greedy adventurers actually want is for the tower to collapse and ruin their favorite farming spot. Human society is just one big messy web of selfish interest. Seeing a golden opportunity, our red-haired mastermind offers his vassal a deal. He will leak the Beast Demon King's secret weakness, but the hero has to be the one to land the final blow. Bagging 2 Demon Kings will make him a total legend. The hero starts sweating and nervously jokes about getting too strong to control. Berger just gives him a dead-eyed stare. He knows absorbing a couple of weak bosses will never be enough to scratch him. With that sorted, he prepares to head home, but his trusty elf assistant suddenly hits his line with an emergency. Our boy's peaceful moment is ruined when his nerdy assistant calls him up. The elf is totally confused by his boss's new human form, but our guy just tells him to spit it out. The news is not good. The big bad Beast King just called an emergency meeting for all the demon lords, and our boy is sweating bullets. He literally just robbed the guy blind. Over at the Beast Tower, the VIPs are already clocking in. The giant Cyclops complains about the smell while the Ice Queen just chills. But the werewolf bouncer is keeping a close eye on the guest list. He notes that both our boy and the guy he framed are running late. If they don't show up soon, they are going to look guilty as hell. Meanwhile, our boy is currently eating dirt thanks to his new uncontrollable powers. His assistant offers to just take a portal to the meeting alone, but our guy shuts that down immediately. He knows he has to show up. But there is a massive problem. If he just walks up to the Beast Tower on foot from the nearby jungle, the bouncer is going to know he was the one creeping around the neighborhood. To avoid looking like the obvious culprit, he has to fly all the way back to his own tower first, just so he can use the official portal. He pushes himself to the limit, knowing his current speed is way too slow. He begs for a boost and his body actually listens. The stolen phoenix heart inside him starts pumping, and suddenly he sprouts massive flaming wings. Our boy turns into a literal missile and blasts off into the sky. Our boy is hauling ass through the sky, but suddenly realizes he is sprouting literal wings of fire. He definitely did not plan on burning mana this early. A massive pulse echoes from his chest as he looks down in absolute shock. The stolen phoenix heart is literally beating inside his own ribcage. He realizes the legendary beast is still alive in there, and that is exactly why all those random forest animals were treating him like a Disney princess 5 minutes ago. Before he can even process the fact that he is a walking birdcage, the raw power completely takes over. He grits his teeth as the fiery energy turns him into a living missile. He blasts across the horizon at Mach 10, leaving a massive trail of light before violently crashing straight into the side of his own hidden tower. He leaves a smoking crater on the brickwork and faceplants right into the snow. Sitting up with a massive headache, our Demon King realizes he has zero control over this new power. He notes he will have to be super careful until he actually tames the beast. The fiery wings slowly burn out and turn to ash as he walks toward the entrance, guessing the bird just exhausted its energy and took a nap. His dark elf advisor frantically checks in over the comms, and our boy immediately shifts back into his black-haired human disguise. He orders his lackey to prep the portal because they are heading straight to the Tower of Beast right now. Meanwhile, deep in the Ormuth rainforest, a massive expedition is brewing. The crowd of adventurers is absolutely losing their minds over the arrival of Roselle Shart. She is the idol of the Magic Tower and a total prodigy who mastered all magic by age 5. Some of these guys are literally blushing and debating if they should ask for an autograph, while others are just salty they didn't get to greet her first. But Roselle is not here for a meet and greet. She casually lounges on a rock and tells the entire crowd of riffraff to get lost. Her subordinate is left sweating bullets, wondering what he even did wrong to catch strays. Meanwhile, one of the insulted fanboys is literally walking away on cloud 9 because his idol just verbally abused him. He is vowing to never wash his ears again. Roselle just glares at the absolute state of these weirdos. She turns her back on the simps and walks away. Suddenly, the crowd starts buzzing again. Hillen Cargill has entered the chat. He is the legendary 10 stars hero who supposedly defeated the Demon King of Lust. Sure, he totally fumbled his last expedition in the Urgest Mountains, but he still has that shiny reputation. He walks right up to Roselle with a fake smile and offers his hand to help out on this journey. Roselle immediately shuts him down. She calls him a thick-faced loser and points out that he is missing his signature filthy ring. She mockingly asks if he took it off just because there are no elves around to drain. Hillen forces a laugh, but he is internally having a massive panic attack. If this girl exposes how he actually defeated the Demon King of Lust, his entire heroic image is completely cooked. He curses our boy Berger for ordering him to join this specific raid. Roselle stands tall and declares that she is the one who will be taking down the beast Demon King. She warns Hillen to keep his filthy hands out of her way. Hillen flashes his trademark bright smile and agrees out loud, but deep down, he is already plotting to steal the kill and claim the Demon King's head for himself. A purple portal rips open in the middle of the forest, and our boy steps through with the Demon King of Lies and the Frost Queen. They are immediately greeted by a massive and very pissed-off werewolf. Our guy just flashes a nervous smile and insists they totally are not late to the party. Inside the beast's lair, the giant rock titan demands to know why they called an emergency meeting. The monocle guy casually asks if this has anything to do with the massive hero army currently gathering in Ormuth. The giant wolf decides to spill the tea. He glares at the group and reveals that one of the Demon Kings standing right in this room sent a high-ranking demon into his territory. He explains that this mystery trader not only stole from him but also got the second prince of Ormuth killed, which is exactly what triggered the current hero invasion. The Ice Queen connects the dots in her head. She realizes the wolf lost his precious summoning beast and wonders if the culprit is trying to spark a massive continental war. But the Beast King is not going down without a fight. He snarls that someone is clearly trying to take him out, but he refuses to die alone. With a feral grin, he declares he is going to purchase the key to the black box to expose the traitor. The system drops some heavy lore. Every tower comes equipped with a black box that records a Demon King's every single move, but tapping into it drains a ridiculous amount of demonic energy points. Plus, if the tower collapses, the box vanishes with it. So naturally, nobody ever bothers using the thing. But our boy is suddenly sweating bullets. He realizes that if that overgrown furball actually opens the black box, his entire master plan gets exposed to the whole continent. He curses the beast under his breath, realizing he is in deep trouble. The other Demon Kings casually grant permission to open their boxes. The Ice Queen, the Suit Guy, the Rock Monster, and finally our boy himself, forced to play along just to avoid looking guilty. That big bad wolf flashes a wicked grin. The key to open a black box costs a staggering 10 million points. Normally, nobody would blow that kind of cash right before a massive hero invasion. But if those heroes fail, that mutt is definitely buying the key and snooping through our boy's private records. Striding through the snow with his elf assistant, our boy makes a firm decision. He has to take out that beast before he gets the chance to ruin everything. Our boy decides to do a quick vibe check on his tower defenses before heading out to deal with the wolf guy. He drops down to the first floor and is immediately greeted by a literal weapon of mass destruction. The kidnapped dwarf blacksmith is standing on top of his new toy, laughing like an absolute maniac. He screams that this magic cannon is the most majestic masterpiece he has ever forged in his entire life. Our boy and his elf assistant just stare at the guy. The dwarf has clearly lost his marbles thanks to the unlimited budget in Hellforge, but the weapon stats are way too good to complain. The guy is literally screaming praises to the Demon King and begging to build 100 more, so our boy just decides to let him cook. Moving up to the second floor, our boy is immediately ambushed by the blonde princess he kidnapped earlier. She is screaming her lungs out and drops a massive blue energy slash right on his head. But our boy just casually catches the attack with one bare hand and shatters it like glass. He looks at her completely deadpan and roasts her for not changing her predictable attack patterns at all. The princess refuses to take the L and dives straight down with her ultimate crescent moon strike. She crashes into him with a massive explosion of blue energy, but our boy just stands there completely unfazed and gives her a tiny bit of credit for improving. Our boy just smiles through the chaos, casually charging up a dark purple blast and telling the blonde knight she still needs way more training. She completely loses her mind, sweating bullets as he effortlessly counters her ultimate move. A massive shockwave rocks the snowy mountain outside the tower, and the so-called hero is left face-planted in a smoking crater. The Demon King dusts off his hands and asks his dark elf advisor why the heck the princess was moved down to the second floor. The advisor explains that their other royal hostage is currently busy preparing a massive summoning ritual up on the fourth floor, which definitely catches our guy off guard. Up in the penthouse, a bunch of cute elemental spirits are floating around a massive pile of empty Seniel powder bottles. The genius elementalist princess is standing in the center of a glowing blue magic circle, pouring her mana and literal blood into a high-tier contract. She chants her royal name and begs the Guardian of Water to answer her call. The magic circle erupts into a geyser, and a stunning high-ranking water spirit emerges from the depths. She opens her glowing blue eyes, clearly impressed that some human actually managed to pull off this summon inside a Demon King's lair. The high-ranking water spirit opens her eyes and officially acknowledges the blonde princess as her new master. The two reach out and seal their soul contract in a blinding flash of light. The sheer magical toll instantly knocks the girl out cold, leaving her floating in the water. But our boy swoops in to play the knight in shining armor, pulling her out of the pool and carrying her bridal style. She wakes up completely exhausted and looks up at the Demon King. He hits her with a rare genuine smile and praises her hard work, making the princess blush with relief. But suddenly a voice that sounds exactly like hers blurts out a massive love confession. The princess completely short-circuits in absolute horror and frantically screams that it was not her. Turns out her brand new water spirit is a massive troll who loves spicy romance novels and decided to instantly wingman her. Our boy gives her the ultimate side-eye as the blonde frantically tries to defend herself. She swears up and down that even though it sounded exactly like her voice, she definitely did not just confess her undying love to her kidnapper. Turns out the culprit is her brand new water spirit, who is currently doing a flawless impression of the girl just to stir the pot. Our guy deadpans that she summoned a seriously annoying pet, but you see, this high-ranking spirit is an absolute sucker for forbidden romance novels, and she is ready to ship these two into the sunset. She straight up asks when they are making it official. The royal is absolutely fighting for her life right now. She is blushing so hard she might actually combust, while our Demon King just looks completely over the entire situation. Back on the fourth floor, the blonde princess is absolutely fighting for her life against the allegations. Her newly summoned water spirit is already spilling the tea about how the entire spirit realm is shipping her with the Demon King. The spirit is begging for the juicy details on their situationship, but the flustered princess just wants to unsummon her immediately. Our boy interrupts the gossip session with a very important question. He asks the spirit exactly what he looks like to her right now. She obviously hits him with the handsome Demon King destined for the princess line, but he ignores the riz and lets a single fiery feather drop. Suddenly, he flares up his newly stolen phoenix powers. The high-ranking spirit is completely gagged. She realizes his demonic energy is completely gone and replaced with unbelievably pure mana, making him look exactly like a holy spirit. Our guy smirks, realizing his disguise is absolutely flawless. If he can fool a top-tier spirit, he can definitely fool the heroes and the other Demon Kings. He realizes this is the perfect opportunity to take out the Beast Demon King himself. We get a quick flashback to him casually dropping the most insane itinerary on his dark elf advisor. He literally just tells the guy he is stepping out for a quick errand to murder the Beast Demon King. The advisor gives a polite goodbye before his brain finally processes the absolute madness he just heard. Our boy's top advisor is absolutely losing his mind over the comms. He screams that if the other Demon Kings find out about this little stunt, they are all completely cooked. But our fiery protagonist is already soaring through the sky. He casually explains that if he does not take out the Beast Demon King before that furry idiot opens the black box, he is the one who is going to end up dead. The glasses-wearing elf is still panicking. He reminds our boy that he has not even overcome the local dimensional energy yet. You see, every dimension naturally hates outsiders. It acts like a giant cosmic bouncer that violently suppresses any invading demon's power. A massive, terrifying beast in the demon realm gets nerfed into a tiny, pathetic punching bag the second it crosses over. This makes it super easy for the local heroes to just walk up and pack them up. It is the natural order of the world. The only cheat code to bypass this cosmic nerf is the Demon King's tower. It acts as a massive router that connects directly to the demon realm. By pumping it full of demonic energy points, a Demon King can bypass the local restrictions and draw their original overwhelming power straight from their home turf. But there is a massive catch. The further you travel from your tower, the weaker your connection gets. And to make matters worse, the advisor points out that the Beast Demon King is chilling in a massive 13-floor fortress, while our boy is rocking a measly 5-floor starter home. Gordon is sweating bullets over this reckless plan. Bergie admits that fighting the Beast Demon King on his home turf is not a guaranteed win. He just absorbed that phoenix heart and still has not fully adapted to his new fiery wings. But our boy is not planning on soloing this boss raid. He flashes a wicked grin and drops the absolute bombshell. He is going to crash the human expedition and join the raid himself. Cut to the Ormuth Forest where things are going absolutely terribly for the human army. Fiery projectiles rain down as the soldiers clash with the beast demons. The monsters are furious that the humans chased them this far, but quickly realize they are only fighting the weak stragglers. The human commander screams for everyone to cover the retreat as their front line completely collapses. Down in the mud, our disguised Demon King is already playing the role of the helpful hero. He hands out potions to the battered soldiers while casually asking why everyone looks so dead inside. The brown-haired knight Demian spots him and is absolutely stunned to see File here. Demian has been fighting for his life out in the trenches, slicing through werewolves with heavy blue aura strikes while the rest of the raid falls apart. Our boy recounts the absolute disaster of a raid. He tees up the perfect shot for the arrogant flame mage to nuke the Beast King's weak point. But instead of going down, the giant furball just tanks the hit, roars like a jet engine, and swats her away like a pesky mosquito, sending the whole front line flying. Wrapping up his tragic tale to his brainwashed vassal, our boy puts on a calm, collected smile, but on the inside he is absolutely losing his mind. His grand master plan has completely derailed and he is officially screwed. His vassal tries to play the optimist, pointing out that the giant mutt is still nursing his wounds so they have a window to strike again. Our boy questions where their supposed heavy hitter was during the fight, since the meathead completely abandoned his post guarding the squishy mages. Right on cue, the flame mage herself stomps into the clearing. She is rocking a brand new eye patch and a whole lot of attitude, completely ignoring the fact that their raid is currently a massive dumpster fire. The fiery mage is absolutely livid. She lost an eye to the Beast Demon King and is ready to throw hands again immediately. But the knight next to her shuts that down fast. Their squad is battered, bruised, and completely out of healing juice. A second round right now is basically suicide. Enter our boy in disguise. He casually flexes a massive inventory of potions he just happened to prepare for this exact scenario. The mage is suspicious. Why is this random dude going out of his way to save their hides? Plus she can sense this crazy pure energy radiating off him. Our boy just plays it cool. He looks around at the pathetic state of the human army. These guys are completely demoralized. Chugging a red potion isn't going to fix their shattered confidence. But since he needs these meat shields to go take the Beast Demon King's head, he decides it is time for a little theatrical motivation. A tiny adorable firebird pops right out of his chest. Suddenly the gloomy forest is flooded with a brilliant warm golden light. The depressed soldiers stare up like they just saw an angel. The mage is absolutely speechless as our boy prepares to drop the hardest introduction of his life. Our boy floats down like an absolute god wrapped in a massive fiery aura. He casually drops the bomb that he is the owner of the legendary Phoenix. He introduces his new persona as File and states his one and only goal is to pack up the Beast Demon King. The eye patch mage is completely shook. She realizes this guy is the true identity behind that overwhelming presence that covered the sky earlier. She starts sweating bullets, noting that his mana alone rivals the top-tier 10-star heroes. She wonders where this absolute unit came from, but quickly realizes that with him on their side, they actually have a shot. The rest of the defeated soldiers stare up in pure awe. Their broken morale is instantly cured by the shiny lights. Our boy stands before his new makeshift army fully engulfed in flames, ready to lead these clueless humans straight to the Beast Demon King's front door. Back at the Beast Tower, the big bad wolf is feeling the financial pinch. Restoring his crib drained way more demonic energy than he planned, leaving him with just enough cash to buy a single black box key. Deciding to treat himself, he cracks open his own box first to see what kind of juicy secrets are hiding inside. The cube lights up like a rave, spitting out glowing film strips of pure truth. The Beast King's jaw hits the floor. He realizes the footage is completely unedited and that our boy actually pulled off the ultimate heist. Panicking, he decides he needs to warn the other Demon Kings immediately before they all get played. But before he can hit send on that group chat, a terrified subordinate bursts into the throne room. The human army is already knocking at the front door, and they didn't just bring the usual cannon fodder. The massive golden doors get blasted open, revealing a brand new 10-star hero. Enter Ralph Schmitz, the continent's absolute tankiest shield master. Rewind a bit to see how this hype train started. Our disguised Demon King is standing front and center, flexing his stolen Phoenix flames to rally the troops. The human warriors are absolutely eating it up. Believing they have a legendary beast on their side, they draw their swords and scream for demon blood, completely unaware that their shiny new mascot is the exact guy they are supposed to be hunting. Our boy's little pep talk worked, but he is still sweating bullets over controlling that stolen Phoenix mana. The orange-haired mage complains that 2 10-star heroes just are not enough for this raid and prays for some heavy backup. Right on cue, heavy footsteps echo through the trees. She smirks, calling it perfect timing, but our boy's eyes go wide when he recognizes the new arrival. Enter the reinforcement, a massive blonde dude lugging around two giant golden doors for shields. He does not even flinch as a pack of rabid wolves lunges straight for his throat. He just plants his feet and tanks the hit like an absolute brick wall. But he does not just block. The creepy face carved into his shield lights up like a Christmas tree and violently reflects the kinetic energy right back at the mutts. The shockwave blasts the entire pack into orbit, clearing the path in a single flex. This absolute unit is Ralph Schmitz, the second-ranked tank of the 10 stars. Our boy knows all too well how busted that impact-reflecting shield is, mostly because in his past life this blonde meathead was standing right there in the front row, laughing his head off while the sword god used Berge's neck for target practice. Our boy spots the smug shield hero who literally decapitated him in his past life. He is absolutely itching to tear the guy limb from limb right here and now, but he forces himself to chill. He has bigger fish to fry, namely a giant furry demon king. The eyepatch mage complains that if they had just waited a hot minute for the shield guy to show up, they could have steamrolled this dungeon without a single scratch. Our fake hero just nods along, letting her yap while they march straight up to the boss room. He drops a reality check on her, warning that demon kings always pack a nasty trump card right before they kick the bucket. He knows exactly how this system works. If the beast boss blew all his cash restoring the tower, the heroes are going to get absolutely stat checked by the raw demonic energy. The squad finally breaches the 13th floor and steps into the throne room, but instead of a massive army of beastmen, it is completely empty except for the big bad wolf himself. The vanguard is totally confused, wondering where all the trash mobs went. The furry boss just laughs, holding a condensed orb of pure red energy. He mocks them for thinking he would not prep for round 2. The mage suddenly connects the dots, realizing the air is thick with demonic energy because this absolute madman literally ate all his own minions to buff himself. The giant wolf boss swallows down a glowing red orb with a nasty gulp. Our red-haired protagonist realizes the loophole this guy found. Sure, the rules say the strongest monsters go on the top floor, but this absolute unit just absorbed all his own minions to become a super boss. The Beast King glares down with a glowing red eye and promises none of these foolish heroes are making it out alive. The hero party squares up, looking tense. Our boy File narrows his eyes as the monster prepares to drop the hammer. The massive beast lets out an ear-splitting roar and leaps down from the ceiling, bringing a shockwave of pure destruction with him. The golden armored shield master braces for the hit. A couple of overeager warriors decide to ignore the giant red flags and charge in anyway, thinking they can catch the boss off guard. But they instantly regret their life choices when a massive attack lands right on top of them. A huge explosive shockwave blasts outward, sending the fodder soldiers flying through the air like absolute ragdolls. Even the top-tier shield guy struggles to hold his ground, his massive golden defense starting to crack under the sheer force of the impact. The shield bro braces for impact, but the sheer force of the blast shatters his golden defense like cheap glass. A massive shockwave of red energy clears the dust to reveal the Beast Demon King in his final form. This overgrown puppy just absorbed his entire floor of minions and is now swatting away high-tier magic like it is absolutely nothing. The eyepatch mage and the rest of the vanguard are left completely shook. They cannot believe their top-tier tank just got his signature reflection skill completely stuffed. The Beast Demon King stands tall in the crater, radiating pure nightmare fuel. He is rocking glowing red eyes and a massive aura that makes him look like a literal raid boss on steroids. The remaining heroes stare up at this towering wall of red death. The demonic energy is so thick it literally feels like poison choking their throats. The weaker background characters immediately start dropping like flies. They are gasping for air and begging for help because they clearly did not pass the vibe check for this floor. Just as the squad is about to wipe, our boy File swoops in to play the hero. He pops an advanced Phoenix defense magic and flexes those massive fiery wings to shield the struggling scrubs. The fodder heroes immediately start crying tears of joy and praising their legendary summoning beast. But our boy just tells them to sit tight inside the barrier because they are officially dead weight right now. He locks eyes with the giant wolf, ready to shut down this little power trip. Our boy swoops in with his flashy new phoenix wings and pops a fiery barrier over the struggling fodder. He tells the weaklings to stay put if they want to keep breathing. The clueless humans practically worship him for the save, completely unaware they are cheering for the actual Demon King. The massive beast glares down at the tiny glowing dome. He quickly realizes the only ones still standing against his suffocating aura are the 4 heavy hitters huddled inside. But as the giant wolf zeroes in on the red-haired hero, he senses a very familiar and very annoying mana signature. The beast's glowing red eye widens in absolute shock as he realizes exactly who is hiding under that heroic disguise. Our boy just stares right back and hits him with the most diabolical smirk imaginable. The suffocating red aura is still pressing down on the battlefield. Only a handful of people can even twitch right now. And our boy Berge is standing right in the middle of the flames looking completely unbothered. He flashes a cocky smirk. The Beast Demon King instantly recognizes that smug face and absolutely loses his mind. He screams Berge's real name and lunges forward like a rabid dog. The hero party braces behind the shield master's barrier, but Berge just holds up a single finger and activates his magic domain. He completely silences the massive beast's roar mid-air. The beast crashes into the barrier like a bug on a windshield. The arrogant flame mage is actually impressed and praises our boy for canceling the attack. She takes the opening to cast an advanced binding spell. Glowing orange chains erupt from the ground and wrap around the giant werewolf, but the Beast Demon King just calls them pathetic worms. He flexes his massive muscles and completely shatters the magical chains like they are made of cheap plastic. He is officially done playing games. The Beast Demon King lunges forward with a massive roar, promising to devour our boy first, but Berger just looks up with a completely deadpan expression. He flashes a mocking smirk and casually activates a silence debuff right on the giant wolf. He literally hits the mute button on a Demon King and tells him to speak up. The beast is left screaming into the void like a muted Discord user. The hero party watches in absolute shock as their supposed ally flexes his fiery wing and goes toe-to-toe with the massive boss. The cliffside instantly turns into a chaotic blender of explosions and flying debris. The one-eyed mage panics because they are moving way too fast for her to even aim a spell. But the brainwashed hero keeps his cool, remembering the game plan. The Beast Demon King launches a desperate barrage of red claw slashes. He screams that he does not care about the grand scheme anymore. Since our boy bared his fangs, he is going to make sure the traitor never leaves this mountain alive, screaming his real name for everyone to hear. Our boy Berger, currently rocking his red-haired disguise, drops some crucial raid mechanics on the party. He explains that the giant furball is way too fast and bulky, so they need to cripple his legs. The blue-haired knight doubts his own lightning strike can catch the beast, but our fake hero just smirks and promises to ping him at the exact right moment. Back in the present, the massive werewolf Demon King lunges right for our boy, calling him a pathetic worm. Berger just casually falls back on his fiery wings and pulls out a glowing purple sphere called Armani's Orb. The giant mutt recognizes the item and immediately starts laughing, asking if our guy seriously thought a mind control toy would work on a fellow Demon King. Berger just hits him with a smug grin and clarifies that the orb is not for him. Instead, it instantly transmits the master's tactical data straight into the brain of his vassal. The beast is completely confused, barking that there are no demonic vassals around to help him anyway. Right on cue, a massive bolt of blue lightning crashes down onto the cliffside. It is the legendary hero himself, completely under Berger's thumb. The knight clutches his skull in absolute agony from the sudden data dump, while the Beast Demon King stares in absolute horror, realizing this absolute madman actually turned a top-tier human hero into his personal attack dog. Our boy smirks, noting that having a hero as a vassal is pretty handy, assuming the guy survives the mental backlash. Right on cue, the brainwashed hero drops a massive pillar of crackling blue lightning straight onto the oversized mutt. But the Beast King just laughs it off, calling the pathetic attack completely laughable. His smugness does not last long though, because suddenly he is surrounded by a blinding array of golden magic circles. Turns out, our fake hero had already set up the next combo. He told the arrogant flame mage to wait for the lightning strike to create an opening and then unleash absolutely everything she had to avenge her lost eye, and she is more than happy to oblige. Screaming with pure unadulterated rage, the one-eyed mage channels all her mana and drops a top-tier satellite cannon right on the beast's head, triggering a massive and blinding explosion. The shockwave is so intense that the rest of the party has to hunker down behind the shield master's defenses just to survive the blast. But as the smoke finally clears from the massive crater, the bloodied werewolf is somehow still standing. Down in the crater, the big bad wolf is still breathing. Our boy notes that the beast is a lot tougher than he looks, but the furry king isn't about to just roll over and play dead. He screams, asking if they forgot who they are dealing with. He unleashes a massive wave of red energy that completely bypasses the golden boy's shield. He proudly declares his name and title, slicing right through the one-eyed mage and our brainwashed hero in the process. He screams that he is a vassal of the Archduke and will not be taken down by a bunch of worms. The rabid dog lunges straight for our red-haired protagonist, but our boy easily catches the attack with his bare hands. He smiles, mocking the beast for losing his cool and looking like a stray mutt. He casually mentions that he has not even shown off his new toy yet. Flashing a cocky grin, he unleashes the stolen power of the phoenix right into the beast's face. The furry king can only scream our boy's real name in absolute terror as the flames consume him. The beast gets absolutely cooked by the explosion but refuses to take the L. He roars that it will take way more than that to put him down and immediately lunges at the shield guy for a desperate counterattack. But he completely forgets about his weak point and gets struck right in the tail. While he is screaming in agony, the injured flame mage on the ground seizes the opening. She casts an advanced binding spell and locks him down with glowing chains. With the beast immobilized, our brainwashed hero charges up his ultimate attack. The beast roars in its absolute fury, but it is way too late. A massive pillar of blue lightning strikes down and completely obliterates him while the hero spits blood from the sheer exertion. Our boy just smiles and mentally thanks the beast for the free phoenix power before bidding him a final farewell. A massive blue energy wave rips through the air as our brainwashed hero unleashes his ultimate strike. The attack connects dead on, slicing right through the giant werewolf's thick hide and sending a geyser of blood into the sky. The beast's severed head hits the dirt and rolls to a stop. The surviving human soldiers are completely stunned before they start screaming their lungs out, celebrating that their golden boy actually managed to take down a demon king. Our puppet hero stands victorious in the spotlight, hoisting his blade high and eating up the praise like a total narcissist, hyping himself up as the strongest hero in history. While the greedy adventurers scramble to grab whatever shiny loot they can carry, our disguised protagonist just stands calmly over the giant headless corpse. He looks down at the fallen beast and wonders if a guy like that will ever get a second chance at life, but quickly decides that even if he did, he would just end up a total loser all over again. Outside the ruins, the fiery mage captain glares at her heavily bandaged vice captain. She accuses him of planning this entire mess just to steal the glory of claiming the boss kill, while the guy nervously sweats and tries to play dumb. The fiery mage admits she's been side-eyeing our boy since he crashed the raid, but since he risked his neck and saved her life, she's willing to let it slide. She quickly claims the Beast King's corpse for herself, and the bandaged hero, sweating bullets, immediately agrees. Just then, a scout calls the mage over to the rubble. They've found the kidnapped royals, including the third princess of the Akan kingdom, Lavinia, who is somehow fast asleep in the middle of a literal war zone. The fiery mage shakes her awake, screaming about what on earth she's doing here. Lavinia casually mumbles something about gathering demonic beast materials for her chimera research, leaving the rest of the squad completely baffled as to how she is even translating her sleepy gibberish. When asked how the Beast King didn't just eat her, Lavinia drops the bomb that she literally just bought the corpses from him. Our boy, watching from the sidelines, finally connects the dots on where the beast got all his cash. He decides it's time to dip, concluding that this princess is an absolute nutcase. The Heroes Guild Council is having a total meltdown. These glowing silhouettes are stressing over how the Tower of Beasts was supposed to be a free farming zone. Now they are hearing rumors about some rogue Phoenix Master carrying the entire raid without even being in their guild. The head honcho decides it is time to put these slacking heroes back on a tight leash and figure out who this mystery carry actually is. Meanwhile, at the Ormuth Royal Banquet Hall, the vibe is completely dead. The king is ugly, crying his eyes out while thanking everyone for slaying the beast and saving his kids. Our eye-patch fire mage Roselle is chilling with a cocktail and complaining about the depressing party. Some guy in a white coat strolls up to chat about the rescued princess, but Roselle cuts right to the chase. She wants to know where File went so she can interrogate him about that crazy bird magic. Suddenly, the rest of the squad rolls up desperate to meet the guy who literally saved their lives. Even the giant shield master Ralph Schmitz opens his mouth to praise the guy, which absolutely floors everyone since he never talks. But the white coat guy drops the bad news and admits their VIP carry already dipped. Cut to the snowy Urgist Mountains where our boy is already back at his own evil lair. Back at the crib, our boy's dark elf advisor is having an absolute meltdown. He is frantically dusting the place while screaming about how insane it is to just assassinate a fellow demon king and casually stroll back home for dinner. Our guy just deadpans that he is spreading the dust around. Taking his seat on the throne, he explains the big brain play. The other demon kings are definitely going to call an emergency meeting over this. If he is mysteriously missing when the group chat blows up, he becomes the prime suspect. So he had to speedrun his way back to establish an alibi. But honestly, the fight left a bad taste in his mouth. He realizes that even though the giant wolf was already running on fumes from fighting the heroes, his own kill shot barely did the damage he expected. Looking at his newly stolen glowing bird heart, he knows he desperately needs to grind some levels and upgrade both his original demonic magic and this new fiery power set. Right on cue, his holographic caller ID starts ringing. It is the monocle-wearing Demon King of Lies calling an emergency board meeting for today. When our boy asks why the sudden rush, the suit drops the breaking news that the Beast Demon King has officially kicked the bucket. Our guy flashes a devious little smirk since he is literally the one who packed the guy up. But he quickly slaps on a fake shocked face for the camera to play innocent. The suit then drops a second bomb. A brand new Demon King has already descended to take the dead guy's place. Our boy is absolutely floored that a new Demon King has already dropped in to replace the Beast guy in just half a day. He wonders if the big boss anticipated the hit, but he quickly brushes it off. Since the tower and the black box vanished into thin air, there is zero evidence tying him to the crime scene. Feeling untouchable, he struts right into the emergency Demon King conference. A pink-haired demon girl immediately slides up to him, introducing herself as Vivian, the queen of the Blood Moon tribe. Our guy just casually takes his seat next to the monocle dude and drops his name. But Vivian is already plotting. It turns out Archduke Arcane thinks the Beast King getting clapped so fast is incredibly suspicious. He specifically ordered Vivian to investigate the scene and keep a very close eye on our boy, knowing he is the most likely culprit to spit on their sacred rules. Vivian licks her lips, fully believing that the grumpy, unfriendly types are the easiest to wrap around her finger. Deciding to start with a little warm-up, she struts her stuff across the grand hall, ready to work her succubus charm on our completely uninterested protagonist. The pink-haired demon slides into the seat next to our boy. She is Vivian, the succubus queen, and she is immediately trying to turn on the charm. She leans right into his personal space. She purrs about how curious she is to meet the guy who flipped the demonic realm upside down. Flashing a seductive smile, she reaches a hand out and offers to take him away for the night. But our boy is literally built different. He swats her hand away without a second thought and tells her to keep her hands off him, you ugly bitch. The absolute disrespect is wild. The succubus queen is left completely flabbergasted. She sweats bullets as her entire worldview shatters. She is literally the queen of seduction, and this dude just called her ugly to her face. Our boy kicks off the emergency Demon King meeting by swatting away a wandering hand and dropping the ultimate disrespect. He calls the literal succubus queen an ugly bitch. She is absolutely flabbergasted. Her whole brand is being hot, and he just shattered her entire reality. The Frost Queen steps in to wrangle the thought back to her seat. She reminds the council that they are here to welcome our boy, but mostly to figure out how the Beast King got packed up so easily. The monocle guy is just surprised she is actually taking charge. The succubus queen immediately accuses the Ice Lady of just wanting our boy for herself. The monocle guy finally gets the round table back on track. They go over the usual hero invasion stats, but the real elephant in the room is the sudden appearance of a mysterious new powerhouse. They call him the Phoenix Master. The council decides they need to investigate this fiery new threat with extreme caution. Our boy sits there sweating bullets on the inside. Since he was literally the guy who killed the Beast King while wearing his human disguise, he realizes he needs to be way more careful about showing his face around these guys. He glances over at the pink-haired demon who was sent here on a secret mission by the Archduke. She blows him a kiss, and he instantly realizes she is way too down bad to be an actual threat. Back at the tower, the captive blonde princess realizes the coast is clear. With no demons in sight and the other princess missing, she figures this is her golden ticket to freedom if she can just sneak past the giant front door. But before she can make a break for it, a foot drops down. It is the first princess, flanked by her new water spirit, declaring she is going to stop this escape for the blonde's own safety since the mountains outside are a literal death trap. The blonde draws her sword, flaring her aura and stating she is not sticking around to find out what happens next. Just as things are about to get spicy, the dark elf butler casually strolls between them. He tells the blonde she can leave if she wants, muttering that whatever happens to her outside is not his problem. The blonde is completely thrown off, wondering why her kidnappers are suddenly giving her a free pass. Deciding not to look a gift horse in the mouth, she figures this is her one shot while they are being careless. She sprints for the exit, but the second her hand touches the metal, a massive surge of demonic energy sparks up. The blonde knight is completely thrown off by the butler's total lack of care. Figuring she should just take advantage of his sloppy security, she makes a mad dash for the exit. But the second she touches the giant doors, a massive surge of purple energy violently rejects her. She gets blasted halfway across the room and hits the floor like a sack of potatoes. The butler sighs and explains that touching the exit without the Demon King's permission is a one-way ticket to the Shadow Realm. But our spiritus princess is feeling a little curious. She completely ignores the warning and places her hand right on the metal. The butler starts to panic, but instead of a deadly explosion, the heavy doors just smoothly creak open. The dark elf is absolutely flabbergasted while the princess just nervously laughs it off, claiming she had a gut feeling it would work. But before she can even celebrate, a black-gloved hand suddenly grips the frame. Our boy Berger steps out of the freezing snow with a deadpan smile, asking if she is finally trying to make a run for it. The butler immediately bows to welcome his boss back while the princess just stands there frozen in pure shock. Berger drops the smile and demands to know what kind of circus act he just walked into. Cut to the throne room where the butler gives him the rundown on the knight's failed jailbreak. Berger does not have time for this nonsense and immediately orders her tossed into the underground prison. Our boy is chilling on his throne while his dark elf admin points out a massive glaring issue. The spirit genius they kidnapped earlier has full clearance to just walk right out the front door. The boss pulls up the security cams to check on his VIP hostage. He knows that with her crazy elemental magic she could easily survive the snowy mountains outside. So the real question is, why the heck is she still here? He squints at the screen trying to figure out what her actual endgame is. Down in the dungeon, the runaway Imperial Princess is currently trying to talk some sense into our fake hostage. She warns the girl that the Demon King is definitely plotting something evil and that free room and board is a massive red flag. But the spirit genius suddenly pauses. She glances right up at the security camera with a cheeky smile. Our boy practically jumps out of his throne when he realizes this girl has known he was spying on her the entire time. She casually tells the camera that sure, she was technically kidnapped, but she is honestly just dodging the draft. She has zero plans to ever return to her royal family or her dad. Our boy just stares at the screen, completely baffled by this girl's absolute lack of survival instincts. The Imperial prisoner grabs the bars in pure disbelief. She reminds the girl that she is literally the most talented royal in her entire kingdom and is basically guaranteed to be the next queen. Throwing away the crown to play house in a demon dungeon makes absolutely zero sense, but the hostage just gets this dead serious look on her face as she thinks about her messed up family tree. Katie is absolutely floored to hear that there are only 28 royal siblings instead of the rumored 62. Ernan just gives her a dark look and tells her that officially that is the correct number, but she should probably go ask the Emperor for the real tea when she gets back. The blonde knight grips the bars and yells, asking if Ernan even cares about her kingdom's honor. But our runaway princess just hits her with the ultimate Uno reverse card, pointing out that a girl who literally ran away from home to avoid an arranged marriage has zero right to preach about royal duty. Leaving the knight completely red in the face, Ernan just giggles and struts off down the hall. Up in the throne room, our boy is eavesdropping on the whole thing and realizes this royal family's secret is some serious high-level classified intel. He decides it is time to get some answers. Out in the freezing Urgist Mountains, the water spirit grabs her little elemental buddies and dips, leaving the Demon King and his favorite hostage completely alone in the snow. Ernan is just having a grand old time enjoying the fresh air. But the vibe instantly dies when our boy drops the formalities and calls her by her real name. He sparks up a handful of purple demonic fire and flat out demands that she spill every single secret she has been hiding from him. And for the first time since she got kidnapped, the princess actually looks a little nervous. Our boy isn't buying her whole sub-story about just wanting to run away. He sparks up a purple flame and demands she spill every single secret she is hiding right now, or else. The two of them stand alone in the freezing wasteland, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. But they aren't actually alone. A scout buried in the snow is watching their every move through a pair of binoculars, radioing in that he finally found the Demon King of Urgist. Our boy is done playing games. He sparks up a handful of purple hellfire and demands the blonde princess spill every single secret she has been keeping from him. She immediately starts sweating bullets. But before he can roast her for answers, his radar pings. He sighs and decides to take out the trash first, casually blasting a massive beam of demonic energy straight into the snowy void. The blast perfectly snipes a cloaked stalker hiding in the distance. The gas mask-wearing creep is absolutely flabbergasted that his top-tier stealth got pierced so easily right before his clone shatters into a million pieces. Our Demon King just scoffs at the petty parlor trick. The princess realizes the annoying peeping Tom is a high-ranking intelligence mercenary. Our boy recognizes the name Dappner from his past life as the exact rat who leaked all his base stats to the heroes. He notes it is his first time actually seeing the guy up close. The blonde girl nervously asks if their base is going to be okay with a 10 stars hero sniffing around. Our boy just smirks and tells her it is not a problem at all while his massive red tower stands tall in the frozen mountains. Outside in the freezing snow, the gas-masked spy is completely baffled. He knows a Demon King is nearby, but he cannot see a single brick of the massive tower right in front of his face. That is because our boy just activated his brand new Mana Phantom system to render his entire base completely invisible. It burns through 10 demonic energy points every single second, but it guarantees the fortress stays hidden until his massive reserves run completely dry. With the immediate threat handled for now, the demon turns his attention back to his royal hostage. He demands she spill every last secret she is hiding. The blonde princess finally drops her guard and promises to stop keeping him in the dark. She looks him dead in the eye and asks if he has ever heard of a forbidden spell called the World Tree's Child. Meanwhile, out in the tundra, the spy trudges away completely unaware that he is being watched by our boy's massive blue-skinned orc minions. The chieftain radios in to confirm that the intruder left without even trying to conceal his presence, proving that this guy is nothing more than a disposable clone. The Demon King smirks and orders his monstrous scouts to track down every single remaining clone and tail them from the shadows. As his energy points continue to tick down, the boss realizes just how close they came to total exposure. Even with all the heavy dwarven upgrades, his base is still way too fragile to survive a full-scale hero raid. Just as he starts plotting his next move, the princess chimes in with a massive bombshell. She reveals that the pesky clone guy was actually a top-tier intelligence mercenary sent directly by her furious father to drag her back home. The princess asks if this whole mess is connected to the World Tree's Child spell. She warns him it is a long story, but our boy has nothing but time. She drops the lore dump. Back in the day, her kingdom was a massive glowing empire. But after getting jumped in back-to-back wars, their power shattered like cheap glass and they got demoted to a regular kingdom. To get their glory days back, they realized one cracked-out genius mage was way better than 10,000 regular foot soldiers. But you cannot just teach someone to be a prodigy, and finding one in the wild is basically impossible. Our Demon King connects the dots and looks absolutely horrified. The blonde drops the bomb. The World Tree's Child is actually a twisted spell used to artificially create enhanced humans just like her. She explains that they forcibly inject massive amounts of raw mana into fetuses to forcefully breed a magic genius. Our boy points out the obvious flaw that a normal mother and baby would literally explode from that much energy. The princess confirms his dark theory with a deadpan stare. Most of the test subjects died horribly or lived short, miserable lives with severe deformities. She casually mentions that the kingdom only shows off the successful experiments to the public. Right on cue, a massive floating eyeball monster rolls up on them. Our boy immediately steps in front of her and charges up his purple flames, ready to pack up this top-tier beast. Our boy demands the blonde princess spill all her secrets, casually threatening her with his signature purple flames. She drops the heavy lore that she was literally engineered to be an overwhelming genius. But before he can process this messed-up royal family drama, a giant multi-eyed tentacle monster crashes the therapy session and fires a massive red laser right at them. Luckily, her water spirit is already on standby, throwing up a blue magic shield to block the blast. The girl does not even flinch. She just casually raises her hand and unleashes an absolute zero-domain expansion. Massive spikes of ice erupt from the ground, completely impaling the top-tier beast and turning it into a giant popsicle in a single hit. Our Demon King just stands there, watching the light show. He is genuinely stunned that she just one-shot a boss-level threat without breaking a sweat. He admits it makes total sense why her dad is so obsessed with getting her back. With that kind of blood-stained firepower and her spot next in line for the throne, she is basically a walking nuke for the kingdom. But our boy has major trust issues and refuses to buy her sob story just yet. The princess yells at him to use his mind-reading orb to prove she is not capping. He just charges up his dark magic again, warning her that if she is trying to play him, he will gladly remind her what a real Demon King looks like. She just puffs out her cheeks in absolute frustration. Frustrated that our boy still thinks she is capping, the blonde princess decides to take drastic measures. She grabs his flaming hand and shoves it right against her chest, screaming at him to listen to her heartbeat because she is not lying. Our Demon King is completely caught off guard by the sudden physical contact. But thanks to that phoenix heart he absorbed earlier, a crazy spiritual connection sparks between them. He can literally feel her pulse and every single emotion she is radiating. She explains that pure mana can communicate through vibrations, and as the realization washes over him, he is forced to admit that she is actually telling the absolute truth. Looking down, she admits that the moment she laid eyes on him, she knew he was built different from the other Demon Kings. She realized he was the only one who could actually help her out of her messed up situation. Our boy is just standing there, stunned, wondering what kind of help a runaway princess could possibly want from a literal demon lord. And then she drops the absolute mother of all bombshells. With pure unadulterated rage in her eyes, she begs him to help her completely obliterate her father and the entire kingdom of Hilderin. Our boy is left completely speechless, realizing with absolute horror that this completely unhinged request is also 100% genuine. Our boy Berger tells the blonde princess he actually believes her tragic backstory. But before they can have a touching moment, her new water spirit pops out to tease the two of them for getting so cozy. Berger brushes it off. They can talk about her daddy issues back at the base. Right now, they need to use that spirit to hunt down the masked spy's real body. Speaking of the gas mask guy, Dapner is currently sprinting through the snow and splitting himself into a bunch of clones. Sure, it makes him weaker, but it lets him cover way more ground. He checks his holographic map, frustrated that he hasn't found a single trace of a massive 50-meter-tall tower. He crunches the numbers based on the previous hero's movements, pinpointing the exact spot the base should be. Out in the snow, our masked spy is scratching his head. His math says the giant evil tower should be right in front of him, but he is staring at a whole lot of nothing. Suddenly, his holographic map starts pinging like crazy. Every single one of his shadow clones is getting wiped off the board at record speed, leaving him absolutely sweating bullets. Back at the invisible base, our big blue orc buddy reports that the clones are getting packed up easily. Our boy is feeling himself. He tells his crew to keep smashing everything in sight because he has demonic energy points to burn. His master plan is to wipe the fakes, capture the real spy, and turn him into a mind-controlled puppet so he can take over the entire continent. But his villain monologue gets cut short when his dark elf advisor hits him with some bad news. The dwarven cloaking device is overheating and looks ready to blow. The system hits him with a massive reality check. Keeping a giant tower invisible for this long is overloading the servers, and the cost to keep it hidden is skyrocketing to 100 points a second. Our boy checks his bank account and instantly starts sweating. His points are draining fast. If he runs out of juice, the tower pops back into reality and every hero on the continent is going to pull up to his front door. To make matters worse, his advisor points out that the real problem is already outside. Outside the invisible tower, a whole squad of masked clones are just standing around in the snow. The spy realizes his mana is draining way too fast, so the base has to be right in front of him. Our boy is officially panicking. He crushes one of the clone heads and barks at his blue orc buddy to hurry up. He then dials up his glasses-wearing advisor and demands the exact coordinates of every single fake body they just trashed. Looking at the massive holographic map, he does some quick gamer math. Since the clones can only wander so far from the main host, the real spy has to be hiding right smack in the dead center of the kill zone. The gas mask guy completely loses his cool when he realizes the Demon King himself just pulled up to the block. They lock eyes from across the frozen wasteland and the spy knows he is absolutely cooked. He tries to dip out and report back to his boss, but the blue water spirit casually phases right out of the ice wall behind him. The spy freezes up as she locks onto her target. She charges up a massive glowing magic circle and unleashes a brutal ice explosion right in his face. The blast completely shatters the cavern and sends the masked snooper flying for his life. The water spirit spots the rat trying to scurry away and screams for backup. Our boy immediately demands coordinates. The blonde princess locks onto the target with a massive beacon of water magic. With the GPS set, the Demon King takes to the skies. The masked scout sprints for his life, but it is way too late. Fiery feathers rain down from above, completely cutting off his escape route. He is trapped in a literal ring of fire as our winged protagonist touches down right in front of him. Our boy glares down at the trespasser and offers a very simple choice: submit or burn. And just to make sure the threat lands, he flexes his massive fiery phoenix aura. The gas mask guy is absolutely losing his mind. The gears are turning at light speed as he connects the dots. If this guy is the master of the Phoenix, then the hero file is actually the Demon King. That means the legendary hero Hillen is an accomplice. He realizes the blue chick he just ran into was a high-ranking spirit and the missing princess is working with the enemy. This is the scoop of the century. The masked spy finally connects the dots. If the legendary hero and the missing princess are both working for the Demon King, this is the biggest scandal of the century. Our guy immediately decides to ditch the mission and sell this premium tea to the highest bidder. But before he can even take a step, his foot gets completely frozen to the ground. He looks up to see a massive wave of purple demonic energy descending from the sky. Our boy Berger is absolutely done in playing games and coldly orders the spy to disappear. The 10-star hero is completely overwhelmed by the sheer power of a rookie Demon King. His gas mask starts cracking under the pressure as he curses the royal family for giving him such a suicidal request. He tries to throw up some desperate ice barriers and wishes he had just dropped out, but it is way too late for regrets as the purple blast completely vaporizes him and his clones. But right before he gets dusted, the spy manages to send off a glowing blue messenger bird carrying the tower's exact coordinates. The magical pigeon flies all the way back to the kingdom of Hilderin. A panicked messenger bursts into the throne room to deliver the dead spy's final letter to the furious king. Back at the Hilderin kingdom, the blonde royal is thrilled to hear his top-tier spy actually pulled it off. The messenger confirms they got the exact coordinates to the tower. But there is a massive catch. The magical bird that delivered the letter instantly burst into black flames the second it arrived. The king starts sweating bullets as the math starts mathing. If the mana bird suddenly got vapped out of existence, that means its master just met the exact same fate. His hand trembles with pure rage. He realizes they severely underestimated this rookie Demon King and just lost one of their most valuable assets. Furious beyond belief, the king orders his court to immediately contact the Heroes Guild. He demands they assemble all the 10-star heroes so he can personally crush this greenhorn and drag his daughter back home. The dust settles and our boy is absolutely gassed. Slapping that phoenix heart into his system gave him god-tier stats, but the stamina drain is no joke. His legs give out completely, but the blonde princess is right there to catch his fall. He immediately notices her knees are literally sizzling the scorched earth. She just flashes a smile and brushes it off. She reminds him that her water spirit handles recovery, and she knows he hates looking weak in front of the local orc audience. Our Demon King just stares in quiet appreciation. Meanwhile, the human world is panicking over a massive succubus invasion. The monocle-wearing Demon King violently crumples the morning paper. He is absolutely losing his mind that someone actually sent their troops outside their designated tower. The pink-haired succubus queen just takes a casual sip of her wine. She smugly declares that she makes the rules for her own squad. The suit guy warns her that she is just making the humans more paranoid, but she completely brushes him off. In her eyes, human heroes are nothing but free snacks for Demon Kings anyway. The white-haired Demon King facepalms hard. He mutters about the Archduke sending down a scatterbrain nympho. The succubus queen immediately loses her mind. She proudly corrects him that she is not just a nympho, but the ultimate nympho. Our guy just laughs at the sheer delusion. He asks the pink-haired demon how many heroes she actually thinks are running around this dimension. She casually sips her wine and guesses maybe 50 since her last conquered world only had 10. The suit guy just smiles. He realizes she was sent here completely blind by the Archduke. If she actually knew the real numbers, she never would have taken the job. The succubus starts sweating bullets. She stammers that there is a limit to joking and there is no way one dimension can hold that many heroes, but the white-haired king just flashes a sinister grin. He hints that this world does not have a limit. Encountering a hero here is basically a daily occurrence. The pink-haired queen is absolutely terrified as she realizes she was set up. A quick flashback shows exactly how she got played. The Archduke hyped her up as a conqueror and promised her the next Archduke position if she took over Arene. He also slipped in a secret order to keep an eye on our boy Berger. Back in the present, the suit guy reads her like an open book. He asks if she was promised a promotion and ordered to monitor the new guy. The succubus is left completely speechless. The white-haired Demon King smiles and tells the succubus queen he knows exactly what game she is playing. He is very familiar with the Archduke's little spying tactics because he uses them himself, specifically the part where he treats his informants like disposable wet wipes and tosses them in the trash. The pink-haired demon realizes she is absolutely cooked. Before she can even process the betrayal, he violently slams her face first into the marble floor with a burst of purple energy. Looming over her trembling body, he drops the nice guy act completely. He orders the stupid succubus to turn off her brain and obey his every command without question. Pinned and terrified, she quickly agrees. Later, the white-haired king sits alone at his massive round table catching up on the morning paper. The headlines are screaming about a new 10-star hero and the terrifying rise of the Demon King of Blazing Fire. The whole continent is practically wetting their pants in fear, but our guy is just annoyed. This massive spotlight is definitely not the picture he wanted to paint. He notes that manipulating a scatterbrained succubus is child's play. The real headache is the arrogant black flame dragon himself. He really wanted to leave Berge alone to cook for a little while longer. But since the guy is causing a massive international incident, he decides he has no choice but to deal with him right now. His monocle literally cracks from the sheer dark energy he is putting off. Meanwhile, the monocle-wearing Demon King of Lies realizes our boy is becoming a massive headache and decides he needs to deal with him right now. Back at the ranch, a pot of soup bubbles away as our red-haired menace finally blinks awake. He stares at the ceiling, completely lost, until his blonde captive cheerfully offers him a bowl of stew. He just gives her the ultimate deadpan stare. Turns out they are safely back at her cozy little cabin on the 4th floor of his tower. He demands to know how long he was out and how they sneaked past his own guards. She proudly flexes that she just bubbled them through a 5th floor window like a total ninja, and it has not even been 10 minutes. Our boy checks his hands and realizes he is not completely drained from his fiery stunt. Instead, he is practically buzzing with fresh juice. The high-ranking water spirit pops up to take the credit, explaining she pumped him full of her own mana. Since he absorbed that beast heart earlier, his body is basically a sponge for spirit energy now. While the water spirit has an absolute internal meltdown over the fact that he was hugging her summoner, our boy stands up and lays down the law. He tells the princess to keep this little rescue mission strictly off the record, because a demon king getting carried home by his hostage is a terrible look for his brand. The blonde princess agrees to keep his little fainting spell a secret, but she wants a favor in return. She holds up a finger and demands one free wish for later. Our boy sighs and agrees as long as it is reasonable. She instantly cheers like she just hit the jackpot. The cute moment gets completely ruined when his dark elf advisor calls in a total panic. He screams that the Hilderin Kingdom is launching another massive hero expedition. Our boy pulls up a holographic newspaper sent by their brainwashed vassal to check the damage. Our boy realizes that since this world relies on carrier pigeons for communication, his identity as the Phoenix Master probably did not get leaked. He counts that as a massive W. But the blonde princess starts sweating bullets when she sees her own silhouette plastered on the front page. The article reveals that the kingdom is gathering all 10-star heroes for the biggest raid in history. They have 6 months to prepare, but since the tower location is already leaked, our boy knows his cheap tricks will not work anymore. Avalanches and random monster lures are not going to stop a fully prepped army of top-tier heroes from knocking down his front door. The realization hits him hard. Hundreds of top-tier heroes will be knocking on his front door in just 6 months. Our boy starts spiraling. Is he really destined to get clapped by these tryhards all over again? He sweats bullets trying to brainstorm a way out of this mess. But his blonde hostage steps up and grabs his hand. She claims she knows a foolproof plan that only his super-capable subordinate, the Dark Spiritist, can pull off. Hearing her use that edgy title completely catches him off guard. He cracks a smile and laughs off the cringe, realizing his panic attack is totally gone. He apologizes for losing his cool and immediately shifts back into boss mode. It is time for a strategy meeting. He declares that the only way to stop her kingdom from launching this massive crusade is to go ahead and kidnap her younger sister, Elena. The blonde girl is absolutely flabbergasted while our boy just sweats through his own unhinged master plan. The blonde princess is totally hyped to go save her sister Elena to stop the impending hero invasion. Our boy is a little thrown off since that 13th princess was actually his original kidnapping target before he accidentally grabbed the kingdom's secret weapon instead. But Ernan explains that even though they have different moms, they are super tight. She whips out a newspaper clipping, showing that Elena just got snatched up by the Demon King of Absolute Bruce. She is obviously stressing out over it. Our guy tries to play it cool, pointing out that other Demon Kings definitely do not treat their hostages to luxury suites like he does. But Ernan says it is way deeper than that. Turns out Elena was also subjected to that messed up World Tree magic experiment that forcibly cranked up her mana sensitivity. But unlike Ernan, who became a powerhouse, Elena went way past her limits and ended up with a super frail body. She was basically locked inside her whole life and could not even learn magic. But Ernan pitches a massive brain play. If Elena stays in our boy's tower, where the ambient mana is super scarce, she might actually be able to learn how to control her powers and become an absolute unit. The Demon King does the math and realizes having a second elemental genius on the payroll would be a massive W. But launching a rescue mission is literally hero work. Ernan just winks and reminds him that she is a royal princess who is very used to bossing people around. So our boy immediately dials up his dark elf advisor and orders him to force their brainwashed legendary hero to organize an official expedition to go save the 13th princess. Our boy is absolutely flabbergasted that he has to play the knight in shining armor for yet another royal hostage, but time is ticking, so he immediately heads over to the Tower of Absolute Hardness to pay a visit to its owner. Meet Ugar, a massive one-eyed titan who isn't exactly thrilled to see the guy who publicly trashed the Demon King rulebook. The giant Cyclops demands to know why he should help an idiot. But our winged protagonist flips the script, casually dropping that he is actually here to help the big guy out. He explains that if Ugar just kidnaps a princess and dumps her on the first floor, the heroes will just grab her and dip. Ugar scoffs, bragging that he hasn't heard a peep about any new hero expeditions, which just proves to our boy that Titan intelligence gathering is basically non-existent. That little roast hits a nerve. The Titan completely loses his temper and pops a level 3 gigantification spell, swelling up into an absolute unit ready to squash our boy like a bug. But instead of flinching, our Demon King just stands there with his arms crossed and starts casually listing off a bunch of obscure princes and princesses. The giant fist stops inches from his face as our boy explains that none of those bottom-tier royals have the political backing or resources to actually trigger a rescue mission. Ugar starts sweating bullets, completely mind-blown that this kid perfectly guessed his exact kidnapping targets. Our boy just flashes a wicked smirk. He obviously knows this because those are the exact same royals the Titan kidnapped in his past life. He knows Ugar is terrified of real heroes and just wants to keep his tower safe. Berger drops the bomb that the rumor about the hero's journey is totally fake. The giant Cyclops shrugs it off, saying as long as he has a hostage on the first floor, he is golden. But then he asks the million-dollar question, why is our boy helping him and what does he want in return? Berger flashes a wicked grin, hook, line, and sinker. Our Demon King knows exactly how this plays out. In this dimension, brute force alone will not stop the endless waves of heroes, and the big guy secretly knows he lacks the brain cells to outsmart them. That is exactly why he only kidnaps irrelevant royals who will not trigger a massive rescue mission. Berger smirks, realizing the giant coward is just as predictable as he was before the regression. In the original timeline, the Cyclops ended up clinging to the Demon King of Lies for survival. But our boy is not about to let Jason keep such a valuable meat shield. He plans to swoop in, play the savior, and steal the giant right out from under Jason's nose. With the trap set, Berger heads over to the Golden Moon Merchant Guild base. He steps off the teleportation circle in his human disguise and checks in with his brainwashed hero squad. Hillen flashes a shiny smile and confirms the fake rescue party is locked, loaded, and ready to roll out whenever the boss gives the word. The eye-patch mage Roselle takes charge of the raid map just because our boy's puppet hero asked her to. The Scarlet Hawk mercenaries are also hyped and ready to secure another massive bag. Our disguised Demon King figures this squad is more than enough since they are only hitting the first floor anyway. His shady merchant crew then presents the 33 elf slaves they bought off the market. Every single one of them has sworn absolute loyalty to Granada. Our boy tosses the scammer a fat bag of gold for a job well done and officially declares the start of their fake hero journey to rescue the 13th princess. Down in the underground warehouse, our boy double-checks the fine print. Granada confirms the elves swore upon the world tree itself. The rescued elves are practically crying tears of joy, thanking the green-haired elf for saving them from a lifetime of human abuse. Our boy flashes a wicked, fanged smile. He drops the red-haired hero disguise and erupts into his full-winged Demon King form. The elves absolutely lose their minds in terror, while our boy just sighs, wondering why tree huggers always have the exact same dramatic reaction to his dark aura. Granada steps up and drops the ultimate logic bomb. Since they swore their souls to him and he belongs to the Demon King, they are now officially working for the bad guys. The elves scream about betraying the world tree, but Granada shuts them down. He passionately reminds them of the absolute hell the humans put them through and screams at them to finally take their bloody revenge. His elf spy quickly flips the script. He reminds his people of the absolute hell the humans put them through. From being beaten by greasy slavers to freezing in iron cages, the trauma runs deep. The elves clench their fists as the memories flood back. Realizing the humans are the real enemy, the entire group instantly agrees to join the dark side and get their bloody revenge. Our boy watches the radicalization happen in real time, noting that even the purest beings can fall straight into darkness once they get a taste of human ugliness. He immediately hits up his glasses-wearing advisor on the hologram, ordering him to process the new recruits and map out a route to infiltrate them back into human society. With the legendary 10 Stars heroes scheduled to jump him in exactly 6 months, our Demon King knows he is on a strict timer. To survive the impending raid, he needs to aggressively expand his tower's talent pool and use his new sleeper agents to cause absolute chaos in the human world. Delaying the hero's journey is top priority, and our boy is ready to play as dirty as it takes to survive.